Hi everybody, welcome to another installment of the PS4 Tournament's MK11 Open Series Monthly Finals. Well, my name is Ketchup, joined by the always wonderful Wonder Chef and Evan. It's not been that long since we were on camera together. It's been MK fever recently, for sure. But although the weekly invitationals aren't happening for MK11 anymore, the tournaments on the Monday still are, and they funnel through into the all-important monthly finals, which you're watching today. It's going to be sick. We have a bunch of familiar faces. I'm very excited to get started.
Oh, me too. I know it's been so long since we've been on here for the Open Series. It feels like we're back home for today. And of course, you know, we're going to get a lot of MK today. We're going to get a lot of Open Series, and it's always fun to watch. So I'm pumped to be back. And, you know, we're going to start off with Europe, which is going to be pretty interesting. We've got a pretty weird bracket, which we'll talk about later. But of course, if any of you missed the previous monthly finals, we do have a little bit of like a recap on how that went, where we had a pretty interesting storyline, actually, of Discarded choosing the Sub-Zero over his kind of classic Shang Tsung variation and managing to defeat a ton of top players, making it to this grand finals, where K-Top was ultimately his demise. But it was really the story that Sub-Zero had improved so quickly over just such a short amount of time, because we had seen it before. It really didn't have the effect that it wanted to, but I don't know what happened that day. It was just the ultimate day of him leveling up with Sub-Zero. However, K-Top winning his first tournament in a while there, who has continued to win quite a few tournaments since then, and actually both of these players are in the bracket.
Now, I don't want to say, you know, no pun intended, because he normally plays Shang Tsung, but I think that this last monthly final was a taste of things to come, because we know he plays Sub-Zero a lot since then. He's used Sub-Zero today to make it into the top 8. So I think a month of work for such an online monster, and I mean offline, got to give the character his credit, clearly works offline too. This is something that we can really, I think, keep a keen eye on. But at the same time, K-Top just continuing to look incredibly strong with that relentless offense of Jackie, a character that fits him like a glove, I think. And the fact that in this last month, K-Top has been doing very, very well with other characters that aren't Jackie. I think he's trying to prove a bit of a point there as well, where he's used some Terminator and some other picks, all of it kind of building into this monthly final, which I'm really looking forward to. So looking at previous champions that we've had this year, Raichu TQ, also known as Josh TQ, February and April going K-Top, and then Mirko taking March. And I think many of these players present in today's bracket, Chef.
Yeah, actually. Well, of course, not Raichu TQ. We haven't seen him back for a bit, but hopefully we do at some point. However, the other two, which are the grand, or actually the other two, but also the grand finalist of last week, Discarded, starting off the day. Discarded going to be taking on Mr. Ramirez, an extremely strong Russian player who's done very well in the pro competition EU East, and of course, plenty of times in the Open Series. Moving down, Miss Vaska, a player that I don't believe we've had on the Open Series before, taking on K-Top, of course, who we just saw and talked about quite a bit. And then the matchup of the M-name European Scorpion players, Mercer and Mirko, two of the best Scorpions in, I would say, the entire world for sure. And they are going to maybe have a mirror. We might see the Jackie come out. We've seen that from Mirko before. We'll see. And then Chumi and Zengois, two players who I'm not as familiar with, which is always really fun to see in the Open Series. Kind of got to get a little bit of that every single time, you know, a lot of new players showing up here who maybe even haven't gone to a lot of tournaments. Not saying that these two haven't, but definitely not ones that I'm familiar with. But the big story here is we've got some weird character choices.
We do, very much so. Miss Vaska we've seen once before. Memory does fail whether it was a Pro Comp or Open Series, but I know that we've seen Miss Vaska's katana in the past in some capacity. And then we have Zengois with the katana again, the opportunity for maybe 3 Scorpions in this bracket. You're able to see there the money that players are competing for today, $400 for first place. Not too shabby, is it, for a day of Mortal Kombat? And this is just the start of things. If you want to get involved in future monthly finals for Mortal Kombat, get involved, compete.playstation.com. Really is as simple as that. And it's very simple to play in tournaments these days. And remember, the Open Series and PS4 tournaments in general, it's not just Mortal Kombat 11 that's covered here. There are other games too, and if any of them tickle your fancy, jump into the world of competitive. I'd love to see you. And who knows, maybe you'll appear on stream someday with people talking over your gameplay and all that good stuff. But, Chef, enough talk. It's time to go into our first matchup here, which is a lovely, I think, reintroduction to what players of the Open Series bring forward in EU. Mr. Ramirez and Desarted. Mr. Ramirez, fantastic with so many different characters. I know Scarlet has often been the favorite, and Desarted, although the Shang Tsung master, probably going to be playing that Sub-Zero today. Maybe all the way through, for all we know.
Yeah, that's really the big question. You know, it wasn't so long ago, really. In fact, pretty much just a month ago, where we saw Desarted and we'd be like, oh, there's no doubt in our minds that it's going to be that very classic Shang Tsung variation, the one with the ninja morphs, and there's nothing else that we're going to see from Desarted. We are very confident in that, but now Desarted is going to be keeping us on our toes for the immediate future, pretty much probably the remainder of this game, because he's shown that Sub-Zero is absolutely a threat. But then now the question, you know, which is a pretty common question once people have really like leveled up with multiple characters, is which character will he use for which matchup? Or, you know, maybe he's not using the Shang Tsung variation anymore, which would be pretty weird. However, I just don't know. You know, it's been a little bit of time since I've seen Desarted, since he really started getting good with that Sub-Zero. So it'll be a big question mark today. And then, of course, the other big question mark is who will Mr. Ramirez use to counter whichever pick Desarted ends up choosing? Because Mr. Ramirez does have quite a few characters. We've seen the Scarlet, we've seen the Sindel, we've seen I think at least 2 others, although I can't really remember exactly who they are at this point. I think maybe there was a noob at one point a million years ago. But Mr. Ramirez, like I said, very successful in the EU East Pro Comp and in the Open Series previously. Just a very strong player from the region, one of the strongest, I'd probably have to say, just as far as looking at results. So this is, I mean, 2 players that we know have done well, will continue to do well, and probably will do well today. So honestly, I think it's a good match to start off with. You know, we haven't been back for the Open Series for a little bit, and we're just going to start off with pretty much kind of probably one of the best matches in this first round.
I agree. It's one hell of a way to start the show because Desarted has been so successful with Shang Tsung for so long. It kind of makes sense that we are starting to see him branch out into other characters and other picks. I'm sure the Shang Tsung is still there for certain matchups, but if you can get a character like Sub-Zero really prepared, then, you know, who knows what kind of matchups you can now conquer that Shang otherwise might not have been able to with the weird variations he plays. Now, Mr. Ramirez has used Kotal Khan a few times in the past. It's been sprinkles here and there, but it's been some time since I've seen it. And now going in with a rather traditional variation too. So we have the command grab, the launcher, the discus. We've seen this so many times before, but also Desarted Rising Ice, right? We want to bring out the damage on deck.
Oh yeah, Rising Ice, one of those moves that everybody looked at right when the custom variations came out, and I feel like hasn't been really used fully effectively until almost kind of recently. But I mean, getting so much damage from one slot move is huge. Oh wow, starting off with a statement with the parry.
Yep, parry on the advancing plus frames. That is going to send a message as we go into the rest of this set, I think. But a weird game to play. Kotal Khan hits like a truck. A little bit of that extra health. Not a huge amount, but it's there. Sub-Zero being able to more than compete with it, though, especially with this variation, that Rising Ice. And we are going to keep things nice and consistent. Any hit will lead into at least 30% with Rising Ice available. We haven't even covered those crazy Rising Ice crushing blow corner combos, which can do 50% plus.
Oh yeah, or any sort of conversion into Fatal Blow, of course. Ooh, the weird slide underneath made the jump attack go backwards. You know you're gonna like that if you're... Oh, that could have actually been a Fatal Blow for a ton of damage, but didn't use it right there. Just let the breakaway happen. Still, one conversion to Fatal Blow could be it. Oh, is it enough? Oh yeah, Rising Ice, yeah, the down 2 guaranteed. That's one of the biggest things about Rising Ice. We've talked about it before, but if you break away from it, it still guarantees at the minimum a down 2. You can get a jump 2 down 2, which is a lot of damage on somebody just spending a bar to basically still get mixed up and take a bunch of damage. Oh, and there it is.
Yep, and that's just one of the many corner combos that Rising Ice allows you to go for, just short of 50% being dealt there. However, damage buff activated and a side switch here for Kotal Khan. Trying to stay tricky. The short hop empty jump. This is the next layer. We know that Desarted is looking for the punish there, so we know that Mr. Ramirez is not going to put his life on the line for that. However, presses a button, and now this is going to be unbreakable again. He has to hold the percent he's got left, but it's not going to work out.
Yeah, that was actually, I would say, a pretty different Sub-Zero showing, despite the fact that it was obviously very, very strong, right? Compared to kind of what we saw before, because the last monthly finals at least, which is personally the last time that I've seen the Sub-Zero coming out of Discarded, it was very offensive, right? Like, it was just 100% offense the entire time. I felt like, I don't know, maybe if it's just because it's Kotal and Kotal's really scary, or Kotal manages to create a little bit more space, but it seemed like it was slowed down a little bit. But he found all of his moments perfectly, and of course, all of the conversions from Rising Ice were perfect, which is just so much damage, breakaway or not. So, I mean, looking really good. You know, this is kind of like I'm trying to feel this out here. Like, how is this Sub-Zero doing? But also, my other question: why is Mr. Ramirez using Kotal? Not that, you know, he's not good with Kotal. It's just an interesting choice.
Kotal Khan, when it comes to players using him with matchups, sometimes it looks like you just want range and you just kind of want to be able to swing at somebody. And you look at this matchup in particular, you fight off against Sub-Zero, and you are going to have that little bit of extra health. It's not as prominent as it used to be, obviously, because now the 1050, but he is still a character that if you're up against someone who's going to put their life on the line for a mix-up, Kotal Khan can punish you quite significantly for it, and just with punish potential more than anything else. The guy's got range, and he has safety because of the discus. Bit of a fumbled, flawless block there, however, not looking for the punish. But now, the second the breaker is used and the breakaway is there, now Kotal could, in theory, get some real mix-ups on deck, but he has to get in close first. Yo, the risky stuff, Desarted. Doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, okay, there we go. It's the opposite of what I said. You know, I was like, maybe slow it down a bit. I'm like, no, never mind. He's going to raw slide. He's still willing to do it. Still powerful. But here we go. Here's the command grab. That's going to be forward. Not really giving you any Oki, which is kind of the downside. Does want to keep the corner, of course. Oh, and another tick throw. We see a lot of Kotals, like, not really even play the character like a grappler, even when they have the command grab. They just kind of use it as an ender and, like, for mix-ups every once in a while, but that's not how Mr. Ramirez is playing this. However, this should be it, I think. Oh, no. Broke away at the last minute. Decided to save it.
One of those instances where he gets a good read on the slide. You know, if you break right as the slide comes out, sometimes you can punish. In other cases, you can at least be a little bit plus, and he confirms. However, able to break the delayed wake up into down one. It was very much all Desarted could do, but now he's screwed. There's not much he can do there. But the delayed wake up into the sneaky down one was as good as it was going to get for Desarted. He had no meter for last breath, but doesn't manage to win the round anyway.
Yeah, that was a great call in the Sunbeam. One of the clutch moves, you know, kind of an auto clutch move sometimes when it gets down to that, like, 1 health versus 1 health scenario. Oh, big punish on the slide. Mr. Ramirez, I think, starting to realize that Desarted's totally willing to do that. And that's not a character that it's very safe to take some big risks against, because the damage you're going to be taking from Kotal, massive.
Sliding out of the plus frames, these risky plays, but they are paying off so far. Desarted able to constantly escape these unfavorable situations, and going to use that crushing blow just to cash out on the damage and put himself out of the corner. Very important, but now he's clipped. Waits for the inevitable breakaway. Trip guard into full combo here. He will not need to fatal blow yet because it's not going to kill, but we are in scary territory now. Goes for the regular command grab. He wants more plus frames. I think Desarted may be looking for some kind of tick throw, but now it's an unblockable in your future.
What a like a statement to make, right? Like, you're like, I'm so in your head that my final mix-up option is gonna be I'm gonna dash up to you and do my slow unblockable, and you're just gonna sit there and you're gonna take it. And Mr. Ramirez was right on that. But yeah, that was a really good turnaround overall. I mean, a big thing obviously was being able to kind of scout out and punish so many of those risky raw slides, which, you know, obviously pretty good reward on hit, but if you get, I mean, you know, if it's blocked against Kotal, that is death, and just took that momentum, took the Oki off of each of those hits. And so I think Desarted needs to maybe play a little bit safer, because he was doing great minus the slide punishes, I think.
Slide to Sub-Zero. I mean, anyone that plays a character with a fast slide, whether it's been Cyber Sub-Zero in MKX, Reptile in 9, or whatever it is, if you have this fast, lightning fast advancing button, I think we can both say that sometimes you feel like you can't help it. You know, you just think that it's so far away, you might get a whiff punish, or maybe you can challenge plus frames with pushback and that, which is kind of when Desarted was doing it. But sometimes you almost get so into your own head that you forget that it's just crazy unsafe. And then you eat a full combo and it's like, oh yeah, that is kind of unsafe, huh? However, that second game, a confident showing from Mr. Ramirez. It's kind of like I said, you can brawl. Sub-Zero, he's gonna stick out those mix-ups. He's gonna be pushing out those buttons. You have tools to compete with that with this character.
Yeah, this is, you know, like I said, I thought it was an interesting pick, but also a lot of other Mr. and Mrs. other characters are kind of zoning archetypes, I would say, or at least, oh, great jump right there to avoid the creeping ice. That was beautiful.
Indeed. Back 3 string into creeping ice. It is not real. It never has been real, even back in the Avalanche days.
Yeah, it just tries to make you respect it by canceling some other options, but oh yeah, there's a lot of damage. Back in the corner. Sunbeam? Yep, Sunbeam.
Oh, he's
Good luck.
done.
He did manage to get out of the corner, though. I think that was a really good call. That's literally the best you're going to be able to do in that situation. Maybe, like, land amp slide, but you might have just died before it. So, yeah, I definitely think he made the best choice in a losing situation, pretty guaranteed. But like I was saying, I think Mr. Miz, a lot of his characters are kind of zoners, and that's a, oh, great conversion. That's a archetype that's really tough to use against sub, just because one raw ice ball and you're like, oops, I'm dead. So I like this pick.
It's a really tricky situation to be in too, but I love the Rising Ice and the fact that it's so active. Regular Rising Ice can pick up on the last minute an anti-air. We've seen it go behind. I think I saw a clip from K7 Show Off actually doing the exact same thing, but that's a story for another time, as now, hang on a minute, we go 1-2-4 KB. Bring it on. Oh, no break for you. Where you going, mate? Get back down here.
Yeah, and that would have obviously killed anyway, but now there's 0 defensive bar on the side of Mr. Ramirez. Huge deal when you're playing against somebody like Sub-Zero. You really, really want those wake-up options. Now, just, I think we need to start to go for a quick knockdown, right, to try to take advantage of this. But, ooh, good spacing. Whiff punishes the jump in with the throw. And actually, Mr. Ramirez kind of just playing the offense here. Not afraid of no defensive bar, but is pulling back pretty quick.
However, here comes the amp slide. Roy's building towards that crushing blow, being able to cash it out when it matters most. But there, another situation where that dash-in slide, risky business, but what it's cost you is all defensive meter. And now it's time for Kotal Khan to mix. We've got the command grab, we've got the unblockable, the punish. Oh, and that's going to do so much damage. The damage buff as well. Desarted, what are you going to do to get out of this one, mate?
Oh, good block, but thought he was going to get the punish on the short hop 3, I think that is, but it was really, really well spaced, really far away, making it a little bit hard. I mean, definitely like a slide or something could have done it, but yeah, I think that was very intentional just to be outside of that jab range. Good block, though, I gotta say, at the very end. That's not a very common thing to have to block, especially against Kotal. You don't see a lot of those short hops. But overall, it just seems like Mr. Ramirez has caught on to all the patterns and such. She's doing very, very well in this matchup. Just like getting a hit and just never letting the pressure end.
I love that skin as well. That Kotal Khan Chitin, I believe it is. I always forget the name of Devora's race in this game, but that all of those different skins they introduced. The Baraka one, I think, is probably my favorite of that pack. It just looks so wonderfully grotesque. I'm a huge fan. But
all those are good. Cabal.
Oh yeah, Cabal as well. How can I forget? But the Kotal Khan so far has just, like I said, it has the tools to challenge a matchup that is very popular here. Desarted doing the back 3 string into Creeping Ice, which you can jump out of. It's a real knowledge check, I think. If the opponent doesn't, it gives Sub-Zero more safety than he otherwise deserves, I think, in that situation. And you can see how prepared Mr. Ramirez has been for Sub-Zero. I mean, it's not exactly like a character you're not going to know the matchup with. Everyone plays this character these days.
Yeah, well, I mean, these days and every other day, basically. I mean, one of the most classic-ist characters, which is definitely not a word. But, oh, down one under the raw ice ball. That was a weird interaction. I just feel like you don't normally see the raw ice ball right there. That might have been an input error or just a really hard read. Obviously, Desarted not a afraid to be making hard reads, so that could be what it was. Ooh, the parry for the damage buff. Not going to really be able to take advantage of it. Again, though, the block, and this time it was close enough for the jab to punish. And so now you got the corner. Will you crushing blow? Nope, you won't even finish the combo. That's super unfortunate. That means back to the corner with you. Mr. Ramirez has done an excellent job of controlling this space with the fact that the command grab can switch sides if you want.
Wonderful throw tech. That's going to keep Desarted in the round. If he didn't get it, that would absolutely be match point for Mr. Ramirez. Going for so many jumps on wake up so far. Neutral jump not quite hitting its mark. So much just chip damage coming out. Oy! Oy! What is going on here?
I don't know.
Spaghetti.
I think that might have been an attempt to flawless block. That's got to be what it was. It was an empty jump, but you know, sometimes you get the happy little accidents, or you get the overheads instead, and they're like, wait a minute, why did they just do a raw hop? And it works. But match point for Mr. Ramirez, still staying pretty much as in control as he's seen the past couple of games. On the subway. Love the subway.
My favorite. Forever and always. But Desarted, again, this is a huge risk, especially when you're match point down. I have no choice really but to respect the dedication, but those slides, they are starting out now to be quite questionable.
Oh, what a challenge. Just neutral ducks the back one on wake up and then just jabs through again, putting him in the corner. It's just not able to. Oh, there we go. Maybe that's what the ice balls are trying to catch. The advancing big long strings that Kotal has. Yeah, you got to cash out now. You don't want to give this round up, obviously. That'll be the end of the set.
Try to counter poke on the end of that back three. However, Mr. Ramirez getting that breakaway. This is such a critical moment. Fatal blows locked in. Cheeky stuff, and now we're in fatal blow territory. Very much so. Down one.
Oh,
don't get hit.
No.
Oh, he's trying so hard not to get hit.
But he's getting hit by so many little hits here. Is he going to go for the unblockable again?
Oh!
Back dash into fatal blow? No way. That was so disrespectful. There was really almost no reason to go for that. That was just the unnecessary, but what a way to end it. And wow. Yeah, Mr. Ramirez just feeling totally in control of that matchup.
And probably doesn't like Sub-Zero very much, I imagine. But if you're going to play, I mean, how much sunlight can you truly expect to get in an arcade room? It's specifically designed a lot of the time so there's not too much light, so there's not glare on the CRTs.
Maybe it's just reflecting the light from the arcade machines, you know? Wouldn't that be great if on that stage it was just a bunch of like neon colors from like the lighting around the arcade and like just a bunch of like shifting colors from the screens? That'd be pretty sick.
I feel like if you're going to put this dedication into learning Sub-Zero, when someone gives you that disrespect and finish him, you kind of almost like half expect it, don't you? You're like, whatever, fair enough. If I win next time, it's fine, but when I lose, people are like, I hate Sub-Zero, bah, 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 all over. But let's talk about how that matchup was played. I think the Kotal Khan pick, I know you questioned it a little bit at the beginning because it's not something that we're used to seeing Mr. Ramirez pick all the time in tournament. He plays many characters, of course, but the Kotal, often not his most popular. But for this matchup, you can see why. You know, he had buttons to compete everywhere on screen. Kind of that full screen ice ball that Sub-Zeros throw out because they kind of like that happy accident of it connecting and giving him some free damage. Parry just absorbs it and gives you a damage buff. You have mix up close. Not Sub-Zero levels of mix, but you've got damage, utility, range. I think Kotal's a good pick for fighting Sub, and we got to see why just then.
Yeah, I like it a lot, especially just knowing the style of the started Sub, right? Like, there are a few players who play Sub maybe, I almost want to say a little bit more lame, but Desarted is willing to kind of like get in the action, take the risks, just try to, get in your head, mix you up until you die. The classic kind of offensive, I almost want to say online Sub-Zero, but realistically, it's like whatever Sub-Zero you want. But that's just a good style to fight with a character that has the extra health, has the extra damage, has really good punishes on things, has, like, for example, the forward 1-2 crushing blow, which I don't actually think we saw that much, but there's just a lot of different options that you can take with Kotal. And plus you get to show off the Dope Beetle skin, which is always going to be a fun time. But, we saw the replay at the start of the day. Desarted was a grand finalist last time, but he did that through the majority, I think, of the losers bracket. So it's not to say that he, is out of this tournament at all. It's still, of course, just the first round. And that's kind of an Open Series classic, too. A lot of players, they'll go down to the lower bracket round one and then make it all the way back and then maybe win the tournament. But we'll have to see.
Now, that first match being done and dusted and Desarted sitting in losers bracket, but has every opportunity to just make it all the way back. As we have seen many times before, it's going to be K-Top versus Miss Vasca as our next matchup. So K-Top likely going to see some of that team of characters he brings forward. I know he plays Cabal, he plays Terminator, he plays Jackie. I think recently, especially this last month or so, he has been playing other characters and doing quite well with them to try and keep his other characters in check. And I think he pays attention to the fact that he gets a lot of heat for playing Jackie, which I do find kind of weird. Loads of people play Jackie, yet somehow K-Top seems to get more hate than most. Makes no sense, because the guy's winning tournaments, so why should he give a damn? But I think that it's always nice to send a bit of a message. This guy is one of the most successful players in EU so far. Had to play that entire year of catch-up. We've talked about it many, many times where he was unable to compete in the first year. And these new versions of the game, I think, were kind to him because it kind of reset the playing field a little bit and allowed him to go in with some new juice, as it were.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm a bit surprised with that too overall, just going back to what you previously said, because I think K-Top is one of the sickest Jackies to watch. Just having that, like, Oki on lock, like, more than pretty much any other Jackie that I've ever seen, and having such a patient style until the right moments, then just going wild, and I think it's a really fun, just fun thing to watch in general, but we'll see if he ends up playing it. On the other side, a character that I haven't seen, I was trying to think about this the last time that I saw Kitana in tournament, and my answer is that I literally cannot remember. So I am thrilled to see Kitana because I think Kitana is a super sick character. Actually, I think Kitana is kind of a super sick character in like every Mortal Kombat game, but I think that we haven't seen a lot of her since really even custom variations, which is a pretty weird thing, and I don't even know what moves we're going to see out of Ms. Vasca because there's a bunch of options.
You just pointed it out. There are plenty of options for playing Kitana. You can play her a little bit more combo focused. The dry stance, I think, is where we can start to see more of that, and we are likely to see it now. Half blood stance and the low fan toss. This is going to give the dry nature of MK11 Kitana right in there, thanks to these two moves. And Ms. Vasca, we haven't seen her in some time. I think it was maybe even before Ultimate. Like my memory is kind of failing a little bit, so it might have been afterwards. But I do know that Ms. Vasca has been bringing this impressive Kitana forward every time I've seen her play. And we'll see if she can get that victory today on K-Top, who has brought out the Jackie once more. But this is the element of Kitana. She is going to be full screen, the dry nature, the low fan toss, and the side toss. That's a big part of the half-blood stance.
Yeah, of course, for those who maybe are unfamiliar with how Kitana works with that stance, she gets to throw the Sai that kind of tracks in on you, and then the low fan is just kind of a low fan. But also out of that stance, there's like a stab ender, there is a teleport. It's a lot of different, basically, Melina moves from before Melina was actually in the game. So we're probably going to see a good amount of those. Plus, of course, you can just cancel out of the stance. You'll see that she's in it when she pulls out the Sai, but, ooh, big drop. And can't get a conversion or anything like that. Already setting up the next Sai off the knockdown.
Now, there's one thing Kitana can do, it's jump. That jump too is such a phenomenal button. Unchecked there, but K-Top's still able to win that round. The second Kitana gets into Fatal Blow territory, the damage from it can be quite impressive. Bit harder to set up though, because it's definitely one of the slower Fatal Blows in the game. However, lovely down 3 anti-air. That's what we like to see.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that down 3, an amazing anti-air. Oh, great call. Yeah, it's so hard to fight K-Top with zoners. K-Top, extremely experienced at fighting zoners and has shown it off. Just be able to get around so many of literally like the best zoners in the world. Europe has quite a few of them for whatever reason. But K-Top always manages to find the perfect moments. We see like perfect like raw dash punches, which are obviously that much more risky now, but just always finding a way. And that's exactly what happened here. And of course, once Jackie gets in, if you've got a good Jackie player like K-Top, of course, one of the best, maybe, would you say that K-Top is in the argument for like maybe the best Jackie? Maybe?
I think it's a rather in-depth discussion, I think, because there's plenty of really good Jackie players out there. I definitely would say that K-Top is one of the most successful currently. But there's many Jackie players out there that are able to put forward the amount of success they can bring. So at least for now, K-Top, his success is speaking for itself, at least over in this side of the world. And that is undoubtable. But Ms. Vasca, she had a great demonstration in the neutral at the start, but the reality is, Jackie, she's gonna get in eventually. It's rare that you can go an entire round without Jackie getting in once, and she's one of those characters that once she closes in that distance, it is time to mix, it's time to pressure. The only character I've ever seen that can thoroughly keep a Jackie full screen all game is Shiva with the dragon stance, basically. It's the only character I've ever seen. The stance, man, the forehands and the fireballs. It's the only thing I've ever seen keep Jackie full screen all game. It's extremely good at controlling the air, so it makes sense. But interestingly enough, there are some options that Kitana has. All right, great combo to start off, but Kitana has some options to control the air too. Like that upwards fan toss is a really cool move. There's actually some unique combos that you can get from it, where she gets some of the highest meterless damage in the game, along with lift and the upwards fan toss. But this is more of like a standard zoning variation, and it doesn't quite cover that air spot that Jackie often wants to be in. So I'd be curious to see if there is the potential for some other moves to come out. I mean, the zoning is working, it's doing a lot of damage, but the problem is you really need to do a lot of damage to even up the damage that Jackie can do. Things are nice and even so far, though. Opportunities for Miss Vasca for sure. Lovely anti-air, but missed times. That could have been a lot more damage. However, still able to escape the corner, and that's what matters. The problem is now here comes Jackie, and that's going to be a fatal blow. Ugh, I'm going to be sick.
Yeah, the classic. There's no other way. It's so funny because realistically, if you look at all the fatal blows in the game, Jackie's is probably maybe even kind of on, like, if you just look at them in raw, you know, in a void, maybe on the lower side of how good the fatal blows are, but it's like the fatal blow we see the most because Jackie can always find a way to convert into it. So in a void, not very good. In Jackie's kit, I'd say one of the best.
Big jump in. Oy! Expecting some kind of anti-air attempt, I think, right there. That's what the square wave was coming out. Looking for the anti-air. Again, I like the fact that we're seeing when Jackie goes really meaty with those jump-ins, there is not going to be an anti-air attempt because it's just so unlikely that it's going to work. However, dash in. Vasca. She's going to keep this full screen game again for as long as she can, but getting a bit greedy with the meter. K-Top scouts her out really fast. All right, pressure, the jump in. I like that choice. I love that choice, in fact, and going for the less predictable grab direction, making sure that K-Top doesn't tech it. Punishable. All we need is a down 3. We'll take those.
Yeah, whatever you can. 1-2, of course, a string that could be kind of the normal punish, but that's another thing. Again, you know, like I was saying, with this variation, you don't actually get a whole lot of damage. Luckily, you didn't need a lot of damage in that last spot, that last moment, but yeah, this is definitely you're expecting to do all of your damage with zoning, unless you can somehow get that that stab crushing blow, which I don't think I've ever seen actually in tournament from the Half-Blood stance.
Yeah, you see it a few times. It really does depend on the kind of player and how they use it. Because we do get to see some rather impressive combo damage. Obviously, the once-a-game nature of Crushing Blow, but it just depends on how you want to use it, I guess. In this kind of matchup, you're going to want to keep Jackie as far away as possible, plus frames to deal with, and now the pressure is going to be real overhead to start things off. K-Top doesn't need much left, and that is a scary position. I mean, she gets in. What can you do? You just have to hope that you get the right option and create that space, but she's going to get in eventually. I mean, let's not forget that there was a recent balance patch. It was a small one, but it was there. You know, Shao Kahn got buffed, Shiva had her health reduced, Robocop had his health upgraded, Rambo got some tidy changes, and Jackie, surprisingly, I'm gonna say, was pretty much untouched. I was very surprised to see it because she's such a dominant character, yet no changes. She's gonna maintain this level of absolute dominance because of it. Get ready to see more Jackie, you know? That's the way it is.
Yeah, it is true. But, I mean, also to be fair, I guess, and I know people are going to call me a Jackie down player, but, you know, there's not a whole lot of Jackies out there right now, which is, again, very interesting, right? Just a lot of the players who kind of went to Jackie because she was good ended up going to Cetron, and so I think maybe, perhaps the reaction to Cetron might have been a little bit stronger, but realistically, there's only a few Jackies that are placing kind of at the top of tournaments right now. I'd expect it maybe it could go up, especially after that last patch, but yeah, it's kind of surprising to me. Obviously, one of the best characters in the game, right? Pretty clearly. Oh, Joker also. I don't know. Maybe you did mention that, but Joker got nerfs. You know, pretty much the entire like characters list considered top 3 or even 4 all got nerfed. But Jackie, she's living. She did already get that health nerf a little bit earlier on in the game's life, though. So maybe they're like, let's just make it fair. Bring her down to 900. That would be pretty fun.
500 health.
Oh,
one B&B and you're dead. How about that? However, 2-0 for K-Top so far, who's pushing in and once more using those plus frames. This is one thing about K-Top. He grabs rarely. You know, he'll grab if you are just content blocking all game, which is kind of what he's scouting out now. There are no neutral ducks. There are no throw techs. When they are coming out, it's escape failed because he's making the grabs more unpredictable. But he's more content just pressuring you, just letting the meter come back, doing the chip damage. Oh, no punish on that dash punch. I don't know what Katana could do, though. I know it's -10.
I still think it's just 1-2. I think her standing 1's pretty far, but I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong on that. Again, Katana, not a character that we really ever see, so I feel like I'm learning a lot about how Katana's played kind of at a top level again. Well, at least we haven't seen Katana for a while, right? There were plenty of Katanas kind of at the start of the game.
Flawless block.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah, the second you start flawless blocking that low fan or that amplify on the end, the matchup can be similar to a Scarlet in a sense, right? Flawless blocks can be such a game changer. Oh no, she was a skeleton all along. Who knew?
Oh no, I'm surprised we don't see that more, that brutal. I mean, we've seen it a few times, but overall, I mean, that's a pretty common way to get the kill in that matchup. But yeah, unfortunately, just kind of crumbled to the Jackie pressure, kind of the classic matchup that we tend to see against K-Top a lot. Like I said, especially, you know, a lot of, I want to say like more reckless, yeah, that's probably a good word, a lot more reckless Jackies, they will fall to zoning because they'll just keep jumping into projectiles. They'll be really easy to read as far as their big leaps, but K-Top has proven in the past just to be so good at getting through any amount of zoning, and proved it again right here. And then once you get in, it's Jackie's game.
But what can we really say about this matchup that hasn't been said a million times over about the nature of a really tidy, aggressive Jackie, of which K-Top definitely is. There's a reason he's been able to do so well with this character. He's kind of said it himself in interviews and stuff. He's not as much of a fan of these neutral-based characters, and it goes all the way back to his kind of humble beginnings in Mortal Kombat X, where run cancels were very much his thing. Predator was one of his main characters. Liu Kang was one of his main characters. Thunder God Raiden. These characters that they weren't really all about sitting in that neutral space. They were about getting within run cancel distance and just rushing you down all game long. And it kind of makes perfect sense that in MK11 he's gravitating more towards those characters that play in a similar vein. The Jackies, the Terminators, the Cabal now. Absolutely. It's just his style, and there are characters that complement that style. Mr. Ramirez versus K-Top will be the next round of winners, first game. But up next, we have what could very well be a Scorpion mirror. The best European Scorpion and the best Russian Scorpion. Mercer versus Mirko.
Ooh, I'm excited for this. Not the first time, not even the second time that these two have played each other. Probably the 10th time or something along those lines, but it's always a really good match. I don't think it was the previous time that they played, but I certainly remember one of the times it went to Game 5, and we did end up seeing that switch to the Jackie, speak of the devil, from from Mirko. Oh no, it's already starting, right? The classic curse of there being two extremely strong European region M-name Scorpions, so I'm definitely going to call each other the other one's name.
I mean, do you remember the week that we had 3 of them? I remember the week we had 3.
Yes, I do. Very much so. Yeah, no, they're just making it very difficult for us. So if you're from this region and your tag starts with M, please do not play Scorpion. I'm begging you. It's already too difficult. But of course, both these players, legendary Scorpion players. I feel like I almost glossed over kind of who they were. But of course, if anybody hasn't been watching the Open Series or a lot of MK11 action, both of these players have really trailblazed their character and stuck with Scorpion throughout, thick and thin, really. Of course, Scorpion doing pretty well in the post-Ultimate world, and is just going to continue to do better, considering there were some other nerfs to those other characters you're talking about recently. But they have just, they've stuck with the character. They really show everything that the character can do. So I think if you're interested in playing Scorpion, this is going to be a good match. You're going to get twice as much super high-level Scorpion action to watch.
I always like watching the Scorpion mirror these days, especially when you get two players that use different variations, and I think that's likely what we're going to see here, because one thing about Mercer that we've seen since absolute day one of Ultimate is the excessive use of Sin Blade. Mercer has had, I think, the biggest demonstration of what that move can do. I've loved his combos, the Sin Blade specific combos, especially from like full screen Spear KB, like it's all fantastic stuff to watch, but it does change the matchup a little bit because one character is going to have more of that kind of verticality covered, and the other, especially in this case, wait a minute, let's take a look and see what variations got picked. I did see, I actually think it's double Sin Blade. I recognize Mirko's customs. That's normally a Sin Blade, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. It's the one that he chooses the third most. Wow. This is a literal mirror. So rare to see nowadays. Now that if you choose the same character with even one or two of the same moves, sometimes you'll have one difference. But an actual pure mirror match here in 2021. Weird thing to see. But, I mean, that's cool, right? Like I said, two of the best Scorpions playing in the exact mirror. So this is going to be really confusing. Mercer, European Scorpion, on the right with the Mortal Kombat 9 Scorpion skin. And actually, luckily, their skins are pretty different, so it could be kind of easy to tell. Mirko with that classic, I don't know, it's one of the Combat League skins, but I don't actually know what it's called. Ooh.
Oh, it's one of the early skins too. I remember it coming out, I think it's like season 2 or 3. Either way, here comes the corner conversion, the 1-1-2 knockdown, as Mirko doesn't have the meter to extend. The meaty grab, the side switch repositioning. As now, who's going to have that momentum? I love it. No, Mercer the drop. That was going to be so much damage. But, Chef, a message gets sent. The first forward 4-2 that comes out is flawless blocked. The next one, there's a spear on the end just to cool it out. We're already on that next layer. We've only just started.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that both of these players are going to have like a lot of respect for each other, and they're going to try to feel each other out a little bit. Ooh, big combo. No defensive bar on Mirko's side. All right, only had one bar to spend, which is still obviously quite a bit of damage. And of course, the side switch. That's one of the biggest strengths of Scorpion. Being able to switch sides on pretty much whatever combo you want. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. Oh, the Sin Blade.
However, the back 3 ender, I think there was a bait there maybe of the breakaway, but because Mirko was so close to getting it. No punish on the string. That is very unsafe. But hang on a second. This is 2 touch to kill situation now. 1-1-2. If he gets hit now, it's going to be fatal blow into the game win. Plus frames. No, he lets the whole thing go. Mercer was not looking for that.
Oh,
he's done.
The cancel. This is, yeah, that is it. That's enough life. And wow, yep, this is starting to look like a close match, which is pretty much what I expected. Like I said, last time that we saw them play, it went to a game 5. So I don't expect one player to really dominate. And if they do, it'll be pretty surprising.
Okay, there's that 2-1-2. Absolutely. We want that damage over time. More so, I think, just the pressure that gets created from it. I like the spacing, making that Sin Blade whiff. No counter hit, though.
Oh, the down 4s. I like this. They're really, like I said, playing very respectful, you know? They're not like doing a bunch of like wild, like unsafe options. Every once in a while they'll go for something that's technically unsafe, but there's a mix-up at the end of it. Oh, no! The cursed overhead going over the crouching character. And that was actually surprising that he was ready for a full punish on that.
Here comes Mercer. Wait a minute. He has the 2-1-2 of his own. It's not going to kill. But now there's so much damage over time. The forward 3-4. It's going to be the end of the first game, but I mean, what can we say about that matchup apart from, oh my good lord, a mirror match indeed. Mercer, though, on the back of a dominant round 1, comes all the way back. It's so hard to count out like top-level Scorpion players because it is in the character's nature, I think, to just be explosive. I think name a Mortal Kombat game, especially in Netherrealm area, and Scorpion's always had that nature where he can land that hit and just boom, the sequence is his and so is the round. Even in MK9 when he sucked.
Yeah, one of the only characters in MK9 to have actually both like overhead and low combo starters. Like almost the only one. Oh no, actually there was like Freddy, but I don't know. That's taken way too far back, and I can't remember. Oh.
All right, wait. So one character from Hell into another, it seems, but different Hells. Let's go. What variation is he taking, Chef?
Oh, that's always the question. Are we going to see the Soul Forfeit? It's been a little bit more popular lately. Come on, stop keeping us waiting. Nope, the Glide.
No,
so it's just the one. Just the classic, the one. But this is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen this from Mirko. Have you?
No, never. The only other character I've seen him pick is Jackie. And I don't know whether that's something he still does, but he is not 100% out there to stick to a Scorpion Mirror match. If it works out, great, but he's not afraid to shy away to other characters, and Scorpion Mirror can sometimes be the only time you see it. But I'm going to be honest, Mirko's entire style comes from Scorpion, so it's always weird seeing how he applies it to other characters. Very interesting, I think.
Yeah. I mean, this is a treat to be able to see, because I mean, again, I guess we didn't really emphasize this earlier, but Mirko over the past several months of the Open Series has been by far the most dominant player, like in any of the regions. So seeing him, well, first of all, be able to use a new character that we haven't seen before, a super cool treat. But also, it's really interesting that Mercer did so well against him in the first match. But the 1-1 back 2 crushing blow, I believe that string is.
This is a scary position now. That 3-4 is going to be such a good poke all the time. And importantly, time for meter to come back. That's one thing this variation always has. It needs bar to be effective.
Actually using the float, which is nice to see. A lot of times we see the people using the 1 and then literally never using the float, not even in combos.
It can give kind of very similar vibes to Air Dash Cabal, just nowhere near as extreme, right? Because his covers so much space, it's so fast. But if you get that jump kick nice and meaty, the double jump kick factor can still apply. It's just a lot more situational. However, Mercer gets that knockdown. Sin Blade doesn't quite chase down that wake-up roll. The meaty down 1. Instant jump in. Yo, the tricky stuff. Come here.
Ooh, throws him out of the corner. Of course, corner doesn't matter all that much for Scorpion. He's got a lot of stuff that just basically does the same combo mid-screen since you switch around so much. Oh, another overhead and another. Okay, finally blocks it. It's going to be a grab. He's going to put him actually into Fatal Blow territory. Not that it really matters. Technically, it's armor, though, if he sees like a big jump in or something like that. Oh, but again, there we go. Fourth overhead. fifth time's the charm, I guess. It was hit, 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 block, hit.
Empty jump grab. We're getting tricky out here, and I think the fact that he's doing so many jump kicks into teleport is allowing that to be so effective. Standing 3 anti-air. However, high up, so we're going to get more damage on that all the same. A forward throw into escape failed. Not that it matters as spawn, but now what comes next? Easy confirm. Say goodbye to more than half of that life, mate. No, just goes for a regular ender. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, see ya.
Okay. This should be it for sure. Yeah. Didn't need to even like style as much as he wanted to, but that is just so much damage.
That did 44%. That did 44%.
It did 44%, and it was like down 2 crushing blow, normal special down 2. That was it. You know, that was like literally the all that you need. But of course, this is. I want to say the highest damage variation in the game. It's at least very close to the highest damage variation in the game. Maybe up there with like Gutted Baraka or something like that. But
I mean, we have to look at practical damage, right? When you look at characters that do like the highest in the game, it's how often can they obtain the max. And when I look at Spawn, it is kind of hard to find any other character that is, I hit you with anything, confirm it into charging Hell Spawn, and here we go, like about 40% at least, sometimes 50, really depends on how much bar you spend. He's getting that damage all the time. So I'd say there's a strong argument for it. Now, Mercer going to the Cetrion, which is a character he has had in the back pocket even before. Born Again was one of his secondaries. Now, it's going to be a little bit different. We're still going in with the Cetrion variation everyone takes, but Cetrion, little less health now. She has had other changes too. She was a character that was significantly looked at, I think. But in this matchup in particular, that 950 health might kind of sting a little bit.
Yeah. The other major change, of course, being that the tornado does less chip damage. So overall, you know, we considered her I want to say a lot of people consider her a low damage character, but the thing was her damage adds up considerably, especially with all the chip, which you can see right now. Look at not a single, I think, true hit has hit, well, until right there, but we're at like half life already on Mirko's side. But the chip adds up a lot. It's not going to add up quite as much in the pressure game, at least, but it's not zero.
It still very much looks like Cetrion, though. Now, these changes have happened, but Cetrion can still do what she wants. It might just be that the nuances of the matchup, maybe they'll change when it comes to damage. But that's not something that Mirko's been able to find yet, and he just got completely overwhelmed. Oh, no charge for you, sir.
Yeah, this is... Oh, weird trade on the charge. The good thing that was a trade. If that had been a hit, that would have been so much damage. But Mercer just kind of playing the Cetrion game. And again, this isn't a pick that we're not used to seeing Mercer go to. It's decently common, I would say, from him. But this is, I think, a great time to pull it out, right? Spawn, one of his biggest issues is kind of getting in on these types of zoners, especially if you're used to having something like the Scorpion teleport.
Yeah, look at Spawn's counter-zoning options. You have a decent projectile of his own. However, with that breakaway, shutting down, charging Hellspawn all the time, that's now a knockdown. Is this going to be the rest of it? Perhaps Fatal Blow is ready, but can he find it? I think he was buffering it. He was looking for it there. But the air-to-air is good stuff there from Mercer. Now, likely, we're probably going to see Mirko go back to Scorpion. Because if there's one matchup he has shown great expertise at, it does tend to be Cetrion.
Yeah. Well, of course, you know, playing a lot with Acid Matza, another one of the best Cetrions just around in general. So the fact that they're both, you know, from the same region and they play against each other a lot, probably I'd say trading partners. That's kind of an assumption, but I think it's true. Means you got a ton of experience going in that matchup. But the big issue here is, of course, the fact that it's essentially a counterpick war, right? Like if you switch to Spawn, assuming that you kind of don't want to play the mirror, then you lose and you switch back to Scorpion, then you force yourself into the mirror for the 5th game, which is not to say by any means that Mirko can't win the mirror, but it's not going to be the matchup that you wanted, right? It's going to be one of them that you already switched off of previously at the best. And of course, you know, it's not a guaranteed win against Cetrion. No character with any player is going to be a guaranteed win against Cetrion, I'd say.
I agree with that. very much so. But like I said, this is a matchup that Mirko is a lot more confident at, I think. It's no wonder he wasted no time going straight back into the Scorpion, but we talk about what could happen next. If Mercer loses this game, and it could be one-sided for all we know, I don't want to speak too soon, but already in with the anti-air, shutting down that breakaway. And now, full punish. Hey, we begin. What I was going to say, though, is that we could very well then see Mercer change back to whatever he thinks gives him the best bet against this Scorpion. And that's going to be the luxury of winning that first game, right? Your reward is the final counter pick, as it were. But now, well over half-life already done. Mirko looking fantastic right here. Showing a lot of respect. No need to overextend just yet. Plus frames now. Jumping out of plus frames. I don't think Mirko is ready for that.
Yeah, ooh, big hit. Of course, gets the breakaway. Oh, wow, he went for the full 2-on-2. I like that. Kind of tried to like use it as an Oki tool since he had more time from that weird knockdown, but it looks like Mercer was ready. Just needs to land a few more hits, though. Does have Fatal Blow, and we know how scary that can be as Cetrion. Just needs maybe like a little bit more chip, which there's some pretty good chips. So now maybe just like 1-1 into Fatal Blow. Oh, no, wasn't high enough in the air. Oh, right as I said it, I literally said the inputs as they were happening. But that's the awkward thing about the 1-1 into Fatal Blow. And it's one of those things you have to really be familiar with the character, like to be able to recognize that like on a dime like that. Because 1-1 high in the air, catching people jumping, does get into Fatal Blow. But otherwise, you kind of have to do like 1-1 into like maybe Amp Vine into standing 4 Fatal Blow, which is a little bit less damage maybe. So it's very weird.
And this is just looking like a very comfortable game so far. I can't say I'm surprised. And right now, that full screen spear, good chunk of damage once again. That forward 3-4 looking good as well. They trade, but that trade's going to favor the Italian absolutely when he's got this much of a life lead. And Mercer, can he find something here?
Oh, what was that? Just raw standing 4 into spear? I don't even know what that was trying to catch. I don't know what that was in anticipation of, but whatever it was, it worked. And yeah, I think there was a chance for that game to turn around if that 1-1 had been converted into Fatal Blow, because that could have been the steal, and then, or at least the, you know, set into chip territory for the steal. But I think as soon as that dropped, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, you got the best of me in this one. Let's go to the game 5. Let's probably go back to the Scorpion Mirror, is what I have to assume.
But it could be significantly different here because the Sin Blade is what Mercer tends to rock. And as we can see against the Citron, it was the Burning Spear variation, right? So that's already going to change what could be the mirror a considerable amount because someone's going to have slightly better tools for the neutral and kind of Meteon Wake Up with the Sin Blade. But then at the same time now, Mirko, they're rocking the same skin. Love it.
No.
Mirko's going to just have a more threatening throw game, and that really is enough, I think, to make a significant difference. But Mercer's not afraid to go for those kind of heart on his sleeve reads, and if you try and grab a lot, he'll duck a couple of them. Mark my words.
Yeah. I mean, defense, so good. Actually, honestly, both of these players very, very good at defense, but yeah, I have to say Mirko's defense, kind of legendary. But right now, you know, he's on the offense, doesn't need a block if your opponent's just knocked down the entire time. So the red armband is Mercer, and the black armband is Mirko. This is not confusing at all. Two very
Mercer
similar names.
Mercer is more yellow than normal with the red. That's what we'll go. With the red band, it is Mercer. In the no band, Mirko. Well, no, there are black bands. I just can barely see them.
Yeah. I think the red looks pretty sick, actually. It lets you like see that those are there, and I don't normally get to see them.
Ketchup and mustard Mercer. I'm here for it.
Basically, yeah. Cool. It was like when Serious Hitman used the red and yellow shirt on the birthday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But now the side-switching throw, create this corner pressure. And this really has been an absolute exchange of basically the exact same stuff. This is Mirror in its purest form right now. 1-1-2, taking out the mid. Staggering it, but that down one could win the round. Oh, there's the overhead.
Oh, wow. Oh, he walked away. That was really weird looking. He was just like walking into the corner. But yeah, if that was, let's say, Injustice, that would have been the nastiest mix-up of all time because that would have been a cross-up overhead.
If it was Injustice, it would have launched.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, right now, okay, Mirko fighting back, but Mercer, of course, like on match point, showing just such a solid knowledge of the mirror match, which, I mean, these two, it's going to be really hard for either of them to get that experience except for against each other.
Already looking for those neutral jumps and the neutral in general. You know, we're trying to pick up any kind of launch we can, but this is now Mirko. That forward throw, what does it create? Oh, an opportunity for Mercer to instantly challenge it and say, no, sir. Don't pressure me. I pressure you. Eat this forward throw. No, wake up, but this is
no.
bad news. This
That
could
might be
actually be it. He's going to build it. No, not quite.
But Chip is guaranteed basically right there. I think he was just building the defensive bar back. And wow, 2 games of Mercer able to win in the mirror. Of course, the counterpick game happened. There was a few things in between, but I mean, like I said, Mirko, the most dominant player in the Open Series over the past few months, but just wasn't able to find the answer in the mirror. Pretty surprising.
And I hadn't seen Mercer in some time. I know he's been grinding and playing, but I just haven't seen him as frequently, I think, as we otherwise have in PS4 tournaments. That said, I know we're not doing the weekly invitationals anymore. It comes down to those Monday events that, for all I know, Mercer could have been doing quite well in. But it's just one of those things, isn't it, where you kind of get a little bit less to watch. So it's not as easy to follow Mercer as it once was, I guess. But it's great to see him doing well today and getting that big win on Mirko. You know he's going to be feeling good about that. And to even get into this top 8, Mercer had to defeat Asadamasa, I believe. So it's been a good day for Mercer, absolutely, and he's in good form to go even further in this bracket.
Yeah, I mean, two good matches against the 2 best players in Italy, which is a region that has been doing extremely well. You know, a lot of different players from Italy. They're not a huge scene, but the fact that they play together so much and they really level up together means that pretty much every single player from there is doing extremely well in whatever tournaments they enter. But Mercer just seems to be their kryptonite today for whatever reason. But like I said, he's playing extremely well. The counterpick got exactly what he wanted when he did switch to that Cetrion. You know, he's just like, oh yeah, this is a perfect time to go to it. It worked out. He loses the game, but then he gets back to the matchup that he wants. And so, yeah, he's got to feel really good about it. Mercer, of course, he's done well in the Open Series before, but that just looked like one of the most solid showings, I think, that we've had from him, where mostly they're pretty damn good to begin with.
As now going to the rest of this tournament, I think sometimes we see Mercer have those just phenomenal days where he can go all the way. Whether it was, you know, he had the right kind of breakfast this morning, whether he ate his eggs or whatever it is, Mercer can rock up to a tournament and just basically defeat everyone with Scorpion all the way. It has been in the past. It hasn't been in some time, I have to say, but this could be one of those days. Now, up next, Katana versus another Scorpion likely to be the matchup, as Zengoi's bringing that Katana back out. And Chumi, a player that we actually haven't seen, I believe, before. I believe hails from Spain, though, and has listed in the survey Scorpions as favorite, but I think there's Liu Kang in there as well. So kind of hard to make a solid prediction, but I'm always happy to see players that we don't see that much. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's really kind of the key point of the Open Series, right? Is that we do see a lot of players that repeat a lot, but even amongst them, of course, you know, there's a bunch of shifting like power levels, but almost every week, I'd say, we see at least one player that we're not as familiar with. And this week, it just happens to be, you know, like 3 players that we don't really see in the Open Series all that much, which just makes it that much more exciting. And of course, you know, none of these players are here by a fluke. They all qualified for these monthly finals and then had to play through like a top 32 or something like that bracket just to get into this top 8. So, you know, even just on today, they've all had to win multiple matches just to get to this spot. So clearly they're very good. And that means that it's going to be really sick to watch a new player that I'm not as familiar with, or, you know, and by new player, I mean new to me watching them in the Open Series, I guess. But it's always great to see that new kind of stuff, especially, like I said, Katana, a character that I just never get to see. Now I know the last time I've seen in tournament earlier today, but unfortunately it was just against K-Top, and sometimes K-Top doesn't really get to show, like, give you the opportunity to show off what you've got. So I do hope we get to see a little bit more from Katana. Plus, the question again, what's the variation?
So, well, that variation's name is Work in the Air, so I do think that perhaps this is going to be maybe the Flutter, actually. I haven't seen that in some time. Or
the air dash, the let's see. Retreating
defensive
back. Yep. Oh, that
I
is
love that move.
Sorry.
I love watching that move. I can't speak for how good it is because I'm not a Katana, like, I'm not an expert on this character, but I always see some really cool highlights when I see it in action. And that's good enough for me. Let's go.
So in my experience, it's extremely good. The difficulty is that it's actually really hard to execute because you have to do like down, back, forward 2 to do it, to do like the forward advancing one, as opposed to just like back forward maybe, where you know, just some easier way from most of the other characters.
Hey, I'm a Sector player, mate. Those far options are no stranger to me, my friend. Back in my day, you had to do a different input for a different direction.
Oh, yeah. No, trust me. I remember. Oh, there we go. So that's the backward flutter. Backward flutter is easy, right? It's just going to be down back two. So we do see a lot kind of just like bait people trying to poke or something after like a block or a jump in's blocked. All right, and the low fan ender. It's a popular ender. There's a reason why we've seen both of these players use low fan. It does guarantee basically that your opponent has to try to get around your zoning rather than just neutral ducking it. Plus, it's a hard knockdown ender, which is a little bit surprising. You wouldn't think it would be, but just leaves them there perfectly.
Now, Zengoi's, as long as this Fatal Blow is ready, having a flutter and these extra jumping options, they do sometimes give you, I was about to say, further opportunities to confirm into large damage, especially with the slower Fatal Blow. But before I can even say it, Chumi is able to get that crushing blow throw already to secure that first round. Scorpion versus Katana. Dude, Chef, this has always been a weird matchup, hasn't it? The sheer built-in kit of both characters has often been one that gives Scorpion some kind of chance in every game, right? The existence of a universal teleport takes the fan and it just changes things a little bit.
This is a literally one of the most classic matchups, right? Literally only one game, I think, that hasn't had this matchup in it from Mortal Kombat in general, right? Which would be just classic MK3.
Well, yeah. I mean, Katana wasn't in that game either, right? Ultimate was the first one they both started to make their appearances.
Yeah.
That's a
Weirdly,
weird reality, isn't
enough.
it? There was a time where Katana and Scorpion weren't in a game. How about it?
Very, very, very weird. But yeah, I mean, this has always been a little bit of an interesting matchup. Of course, I don't know as much about the older games as you, but like you said, the teleport always puts some fear into the Katana. But Katana's never been, you know, just pure zoning, right? It's never like, oh, the teleport's just not my zoning, that's all I can do. It's always about her kind of unique normal options. Oh,
nice.
Great flawless block. It just up 3'd right there. That was just like almost unnecessarily fancy, but it's a statement. It's mental damage. Ooh, patience.
Dash in. Yeah, there's a lot of respect being shown here. Now, these grabs, I'd say they're not going to be as threatening now the crushing blow is gone, but as long as that burning spear exists, it's something you've got to be worried about. The flutter doesn't quite get the jump in, though. Elements of unpredictability, though. Nice confirm. This is going to be a nice double combo. Double jump in, I mean, not double combo.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
No, I got what you said, but it was also surprising that it wasn't the double jump in combo. We actually haven't seen a lot of usage from the flutter, right? It's been mostly backwards flutter, I feel.
I think the intention there was to catch the breakaway, right? Because he had 2 bars and it's such a high damage armor breaker. There's the KB. True. Give it to me. All flawless blocks, so you can't do the flutter.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. I mean, we see that being so important, especially against, like, Cabal, but it's the exact same situation here. Especially if they think that they're going to be canceling and they get confused because the false block happens. Sometimes they'll, like, drop their block. Oh, fatal blow from both. Could have done it as an entire maybe. Oh, good block. No, doesn't get the punish. That's going to be it, though. Didn't go for fatal blow or anything like that. Has, of course, the low fan. Pretty easy way to avoid any sort of option for a breakaway. And so, the first Katana win that I've seen in a long time in tournament. And it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good for Zengoi's. I like the style. But I still think that we actually haven't seen very much of the flutter. And I'd like to see it more because it's a 2-slot option, right? There's a lot you can take if you don't take that. So, I mean, I like the fact that it's kind of like being used to keep you a little bit safer on jump-ins, but I want to see the offense. You know, I want to see upgraded Katana.
It kind of strikes me as one of those moves that you're just not going to be able to show in its full glory like every single game because of just these kind of weird situations where sometimes the flawless block the jump in, sometimes you know you might hit a jump in solo down that you might not want to go for it. But I think that's where the low fan starts to come into play. And the fact that's a really good move, it helps the offense, it's really good for the keep away, and at the same time it's 1 slot. So it's utility you can give yourself without really losing much. And a big part of that was Zengoi's just playing the patient game. The flutter was a little bit of a sprinkle there, but it was everything else that just allowed him to keep his head on his shoulders and play well enough to win that first match. And there's plenty more to go. Still the first round of winners here, you know. We have a lot more of the show left to go, folks.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Scorpion left to go, too. And maybe more Katana. All right, the classic backup overhead, trying to catch the low pokes, trying to jump over them. There we go. My prayers already answered, and oh no. That's always a terrible feeling crushing blow to get hit by, because in its own weird way, it's a very honest crushing blow, where it's like, if you're pressing buttons right here, then yeah, you're getting hit. And so I really kind of got in your head and made it so that you didn't block that. blocks the jump kick. Some kind of like honest footsies right here. Nobody's like using like cancels or anything like that to try to kind of steal their turn back. They're just playing very respectful, but that's kind of been the story of this whole set so far. I'm not sure if these two have experience against each other. Oftentimes when you see people with a lot of experience against each other, they're already ready to make some hard reads, but it still looks like they're maybe like feeling each other out. Ow! But speaking of hard read, that's going to be a big punish. And the down two to guarantee it.
The hard read, but in that situation, if it wins the round, then players will absolutely take the risk. It's going to pay off in that case, and without any kind of breakaway from Chumi, that's going to be completely guaranteed. But I like this matchup so far. Chumi is doing a few things, though, expecting disrespect when there is none. We're seeing a lot of 2-1s on block into back up, back one, and Zangoiz is just not pressing buttons, and look, so happy to be defensive focused, always prepared for these flawless blocks. And now the push forward takes the turn. Really wants you to press. Like I said, there's a lot of patience here. Plus frames. Now we're starting to enforce the down one. A safer way of trying to keep up pressure while at the same time catching a button press. But once more, there's just no buttons coming out in these situations, Chef.
Oh, the flawless blocking has just been so good. Honestly, on both sides, both of these players just really proven to be extremely solid. I mean, I'm actually really enjoying this matchup. When you hear people talk about how MK11 is such like a neutral focused game, it really does also depend on both players not deciding to just be wild and taking huge risks. But this is, oh no, big damage, fatal blow conversion? No, just go for the normal knockdown.
It did give him a fantastic splat. However, the breakaway, is it going to be enough to save the meaty grab? But in this case, the wake up down one, that could have been the game, but in the one instance he makes the read. It's just a down one. I feel like he wasn't even reading a grab there. It must have just been, I'm going to down one here right as the grab comes out.
For sure. I mean, that could have been so much more. But yeah, that was a little bit of a scramble there at the end. And I mean, kind of goes back to what I was saying. Both these players playing very patient, very respectful to each other. And that really like highlights the strengths of Mortal Kombat 11. But when you get into that scramble, it's really interesting to really see how people kind of panic. And we could see that raw down one was maybe a little bit of a panic down one, as opposed to just making the read and getting the full punish. But obviously, right after that, I mean, as soon as I really finished talking about that last round, this is almost over. In fact, it is over. That was loaded, and it's going to go to 1-1. That was a dominant round.
I'm liking the fact that we could very much have another Game 5 on our hands. And we haven't had this Open Series broadcast for some time. And as we come back, everyone's kind of given it the all that, as we say. But it's a great matchup. Like you said, we haven't seen much Kitana, and it's always nice to kind of see this character back in there. But at the same time, we're not seeing like this kind of like crazy next level Scorpion from Chumi, I don't think, but it's efficient. It's absolutely playing that solid enough kind of like first layer that in this kind of matchup, we're expecting people to press buttons. We're expecting disrespect because we're seeing plus frames into a backdash. We're seeing plus frames into a down one, and then it's just like nothing's happening because both these players are equal in patience, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I think that both of these characters are really characters that you can see how high level somebody is just by how they play them pretty quickly and pretty easily, right? They're the wild online Scorpions that are just like, I'm going to teleport, I'm going to try to mix up, I'm just going to jump in a lot, and I'm just going to have like no, I never step on the brakes. And that's kind of the classic, like not really how you're supposed to play the character mentality. But then when you see top players like Mercer and Mirko, they're very patient, right? And they realize that the best way to open people up is not through like pure mix up, but really to make them try to press buttons and whiff punish it. And we're immediately seeing that coming out of Chumi. So it's a very, very like, I want to say like mature and patient play style, and shows really like the skill of a top player on top of his movement, which man has been amazing. But you also really tend to see the same things from Kitana, right? Kitana not a character that really has 50-50s to go to. You can mix up some strings with the low fan, but overall the reward pretty low and the risk pretty high because you have to spend a lot of meter to make it safe. So realistically, I think both these players are just playing the characters how they're meant to be played, and it's cool to see these two types of characters really facing off.
That flutter is starting to be really annoying in this round. You think there's going to be a jump in, and then here we go, double dash straight into a grab. This is the extra layer, right? Now, I've said before, if there's one character in this game that can jump, it's Kitana. But now she's got the flutter. You try and deal with the jump in, and then she flies over your head, and then she's either going to do a jump in or nothing. And it's like, it's such a awkward and weird situation, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I mean, the thing too, you know, she isn't really mixing you up all that much, so she just wants to make an awkward situation for you, where you like think she's gonna grab, or you think she's gonna press a button, and then you just try to whiff, you try to punish with something, and then you're the one who ends up whiffing, and it just makes it all very, very weird, which has been basically what happened in that last round. Pressure in the corner. Oh, just backs up and sets up the spear. I like that. Very, very good patience. Yeah, side switching is going to be, I don't want to say free because you have to spend bar, but it's going to be inevitable.
No mercy.
All right, yeah, so many times too. It's pretty interesting to see. So lots of Scorpions like to go for back 1-4 into like either maybe the backwards teleport cancel or just a normal teleport cancel. But we're seeing just a lot of back 1-4-3. Yeah, that's the string. Just the normal kind of safe on block mid-ender from that string. Which it's a little bit less common, but it just shows a lot of respect. Like, you're like, okay, my turn's over. But right now, your turn being tied is over. It's going to be now 2-1 going to Zengoiz.
I'm liking how we're approaching this so far, because at the moment, Zengoiz is a huge, I think, difference, and the one thing that's pushing him forward on top of the fact that he's making this up-close game kind of awkward, and I use that word rarely, I think, to describe this kind of stuff, but it is an awkward situation where you expect a jump, there might not be a jump, then he hovers over you, maybe trying to look for a jump in off that, and then he could do nothing again, and then it's like, right, well, now I'm going to try and press, and then a button's catching you, or maybe you're not going to do it, and then a grab happens. It's a weird situation. And then when you finally feel like it's your turn to press a button, we're getting so many of these perfect read, counter poke, flawless block launches that it's like, if you're in Chumi's shoes, this is the kind of situation where it's like, you just can't get a read on this guy. You're playing patient and careful. Like, Zengoiz is not playing crazy reckless, but you still feel like you can't touch him. You can't get a correct read, and it's a frustrating situation to deal with.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, the biggest goal with Scorpion is to just make your opponent, like, take risks, essentially. But Katana, again, also the same style. So, realistically, both of these players are trying to make each other take risks when neither really needs to. So, it really is going to be whoever decides to kind of, like, wall off the other more and just stay more patient. And so far, I mean, one of the biggest things, too, in that, like, regard is that the chip damage coming out of Katana, I would say considerably higher. You know, Scorpion doesn't really have a lot of safe ways to chip, but, you know, just a few fans here and there, like this, in the zoning game, which are also going to avoid spears, so you're not going to deal with annoying trades. It's just going to add up and kind of make Scorpion have to take the offense. Of course, he's got the sick back 3, which we just saw landed 2 times in a row. And that's gonna be the equalizer here.
All right, a good round to start with, you know, decent damage, getting that breakaway out as well. Zengoiz less than 30% in the tank. Lovely throw tech, though. Ooh, sticking out the entire string. The knockdown more than the damage at this point. The flutter. And now we're starting to dedicate into those jumps. You know, that next layer is being reached. Short hop, though, cheeky stuff.
Oh,
hey,
but
one more of those.
The back 3. Yeah, those back 3s working so well. And this thing, too, is, you know, it's safe. It's, I would say, one of the stronger overheads in the game. Hops over lows. It's
oh
safe.
My God.
It's just a good check. Oh, yeah, not over. One more hit. Oh, great teleport. Yeah, that's the thing too, actually, which we haven't seen a whole lot of aerial mobility, and I was, you know, I don't want to say complaining about it, but I was definitely mentioning that. But it is true, Scorpion, one of the best characters in the game at dealing with these kind of aerial mobility characters, just because he can pretty much teleport to punish any sort of option that they do if you just get out of the way.
Oh, sneaky. Absolutely sneaky play there. And I'm going to say, the immediate adaptations that are happening, the second the jump in was flawless blocked, the next jump in that Zengoiz did was an empty jump in to throw. It's like, how lightning fast do you want these adaptations to be right now? Chumi needs a little bit extra, and then we're going to bring ourselves into yet another game 5. There's that down 3. Steals the turn away. Looking to react to the overhead, but a bit too slow, it seems. Sure, hop into mid! No chance to break either. And all right, Chef, we're going into a game 5 again. Here we go.
Yeah, like you said, you know, it's been a while since we've seen MK11 here on the Open Series. So everybody's like, you know what? We're going to get as much of it as humanly possible. So we're going to get to a lot of game 5s. But, I mean, I'm glad that we're seeing this go to a game 5. Clearly, these two players are extremely evenly matched. But it seems like overall, I think the edge kind of is starting to go in the way of Scorpion. And the fact that, like, the back 3 has been working, I want to say, like, 80, 90% of the time in that last match, right? It kind of comes back to that style thing that I was talking about, where you really want to make your opponent whiff stuff. You don't want to go for the mix-up. But if they're not going for anything unsafe, then maybe you can, maybe aggress a little bit more, trying to enforce pressure on them, which is how you make them try to make unsafe moves. And that's basically what Chumi's been doing.
But in this game 5, with the constant adaptations that have been exchanging here, it's like, what is left to adapt to? That's the question you have to ask, because we started seeing very little of the flutter, where now it's absolutely becoming the main move. It's something that Chumi is doing a good job of trying to work around. We're seeing a lot more of those flawless blocks, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, as Zengoiz is already starting to go for those empty jumps, the baits, the grabs. And with only one game left, with winners in the balance, doesn't amplify.
Ooh, nice flawless block again. Like I said, both these players looking really good at flawless blocking. Of course, flawless blocking katana stuff a little bit more rare, right, to get the perfect practice against. And also, she's got a lot of ways to really stop you safely from doing that. So the Scorpion flawless blocks, it's a read that we're used to. So we're seeing a lot of them flawless block. Ooh, hopped over the down 3. Oh, and there we go. Was that a down 2 trade?
I think so. Either a down 2 or a down 1. I didn't quite see the damage that was taken to Scorpion there, but it definitely... Oh, there it is. But with the breaker, that double down 2 is going to really be as good as it gets. The whole wake-up buttons!
Oh, that's it, that's it. That is it for sure. The wake-up buttons leading into so much damage, spending up that fatal blow for, I think, the first time this set. But, I mean, you gotta use it to make a comeback like that for sure. So, great call. And on top of that, also getting the quarterback, everything there turned around for Chumi, because that was gonna be a really tough spot. Just was basically a guaranteed chip death situation, but now has everything going for him.
Lovely throw tech. That's going to get rid of the escape failed. Have to start from square one. However, the 1-1. No confirm, though. I don't really think was looking for that to connect. A flawless block. They just keep on coming to shut down the chip. Oh, the down 2 misses completely. Oh, my lord.
Oh, gotta break away. You gotta break away, but now you're at fatal blow. You're gonna need... Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say you're needed to make a comeback, but you can also just use it on wake up. That's a good way to start it. Technically, the highest damage you can get from it, since it's unscaled completely. Of course, not a huge amount of damage, and not a great amount of Oki, and that's gonna be a big deal here. Obviously, with Katana, you generally want to just keep him far away, so you like that positioning, but when you gotta make a comeback like this, not gonna be the easiest thing. Oh, there we go. I've got overheads, too. Technically, the short hop.
Oh, the cool out!
That should be it. That's got to be it, right?
Yep. Just enough. The call out at the last minute to just know you've been flawless block happy all set long. I'm going to stick out an obvious one. Oh, no, he hasn't got up. He's in the middle of his roly-poly. His feet are on fire. I've never seen that frame. What an unflattering frame that was in the fatality. But I love that call out. You've been flawless blocking all my stuff surgically all series. I'm going to use that against you in the final play. That was a really calculated idea and worked perfectly. Good stuff.
Yeah, I love seeing it when players get down to that very final moment of a set, or even just like a really key round where you're like, okay, it's time to pull out all the stops. What's the one trick that I've been hiding? The one thing that I've noticed that you're doing, but I don't want you to notice that I noticed that you're doing, which is a weird way to say that. But yeah, overall it worked perfectly, and that was a really good set, back and forth. I think so much of it came down to just that the wake up buttons in the very second to last round of that that final game, because it looked like that was going to be a round up overall for Zengoiz. Then Chumi just took it all the way back. And so we got to see, I think, a lot of these two characters today, and we're definitely going to see a lot more of at least Scorpion, because we're probably going into another Scorpion mirror going into the semifinals. But definitely a great showing from both of these players that I'm not as familiar with. Definitely big fans of both of them now. I kind of would have liked to see maybe a little bit more Katana, but there's still a chance, this is still the upper bracket, neither of these players out yet.
Well, it's just been a day of Scorpion so far, it seems, and actually another Scorpion mirror likely to be in our future, so in our next round of winners. So, a worthy attempt, though, from Zengoiz. Gave it his all, but at the end of the day, it will be Chumi moving forward, making the Open Series debut and getting a win. That's got to feel good. Let's now take a look. Off stream, Zengoiz will have to fight yet another Scorpion as Mirko lies in wait. Desarted was able to defeat Miss Vaska, so she unfortunately is eliminated, and Desarted moving on to next round of losers bracket. But our 2 matches to find out who's making it into winners finals are set, Chef.
Yeah, Mr. Ramirez taking on K-Top. That should be a very good one. And then, like you said, the Scorpion Mirror, Mercer versus Chumi. So we'll see if Mercer's just really good at that matchup in general, or maybe just against Mirko in particular. But definitely it'll be interesting to see kind of just how every Scorpion ends up playing against each other today. At least Chumi doesn't have a name that starts with M, right? At least not going to confuse us that way, but going to give us a lot more Scorpion action.
So before we go to a quick break, I'd like to remind everyone that you can get involved in all PS4 tournaments activity, and it is one click away, compete.playstation.com. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch, you should be able to scroll down on your webpage, and there should be a little button that you click that takes you right to the competition center, and that is all there is to it. We'd love to see you in our future cups for not just MK11, but other games that are included as well. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out who makes it into winners finals for EU. See you in a bit.
Jokes, no gimmicks, just combat.
PlayStation.
Welcome back, everybody. You are currently watching the PS4 Tournament's MK11 Open Series monthly finals, where our first round of winners is now done and dusted. We're about to find out who's making it into winners finals for that minimum top 3 finish, and at least $200 walking away. 300 for second, and then 400 for first. Not a bad little payday for a day of Mortal Kombat 11. But now, Mr. Ramirez and K-Top, first of all, and then Mercer versus Chumi. So we have a Scorpion Mirror, and then not particularly sure when it comes to Mr. Ramirez and K-Top. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was interested earlier in the day just to see that K-Top was going back to that Jackie. But again, I'm a huge fan of watching K-Top's Jackie. It's so clean, and I love watching anybody play a character with just like that level of like confidence and clean play and just not dropping anything and just knowing the exact setup. So I'm a big fan of watching that. So I'm glad that he's playing it. But, you know, he was doing that whole thing where he was playing a lot of different characters to kind of prove like, yeah, I can win with kind of, you know, like a whole weird crew of characters. You know, using the Terminator. I blanked out for that. Using the Terminator, using the Cabal, etc., using the Jade even. But we'll see what it's going to be in this one, because Mr. Ramirez, you know, like I said, usually a little bit of like a zoner player, a little bit more. However, has the Kodokan as well. So really both of these players have kind of like a multitude of styles that they can call on. And I think that the first pick, you know, it might be one of those sets where like the one who wins the counter pick war initially is going to do really well. Or maybe, you know, it'll just be the Jackie, and the Jackie will be all you need.
It's hard to go wrong by picking Jackie. You know, she's one of the absolute best characters in the game for a reason, and has been since the game came out, and that's really all there is to it. And if you play her as well as K-Top does, it makes sense to pick the tools to get the job done in tournament. But with it comes other characters for whether it's matchups, whether it's his opponent. You know, if he feels his opponent is too familiar with that specific character, he's definitely not afraid to shy away and change. I think a big part of that comes from why he and his brother, when they play in tournament, they use different characters, because with their mains, they're so clued up, the other characters kind of give them a bit of an edge, a secret weapon almost. And there's plenty of them. But as soon as this match is ready, we'll be jumping in, no doubt. I'm sure it's going to be ready soon. But Mr. Ramirez has seen his, I think, absolute fair amount of success himself. But what is the pick? Okay, we're getting a bit nostalgic up in here. So during the Aftermath days, Mr. Ramirez used to be very good at fighting upgraded Jackies, and it mostly came from Loud and Clear. The question is, what variations you got here? Surely it's going to be Banshee Dash plus extra.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the low. Yeah, so this is kind of like a class. Actually, the whip and flip is a little bit weird, but we do see a lot of the Banshee Dash plus low Star Screamer. Of course, it's kind of one of the stronger, I'd say, zoning variations.
He's put all 3 variations in a blender. That's what he's done.
Yeah, that's true. It's rare that you see something from each of the tournament preset variations all at one, but that's pretty cool to see. And yeah, this one gives you a lot of mix-up potential and a lot of zoning, so I like it.
Grow like Pinocchio's nose when you lie. It grows whenever I kill someone.
It doesn't actually, does it? Is that real? Is that like a thing?
I'm going to be honest. I'm sure someone out there knows. I've never fact-checked it. But you know what? I'll take her word for it. Sindel's a trustworthy person. However, as we now start this game, this Banshee Dash, that's going to be where things really change in the matchup. I think it's going to demand quite a few of those dash punches, perhaps, that K-Top will go for. But Sindel, she's probably going to get a 1-1 punish on that.
Yeah, so this is kind of, like you said, like a throwback to Aftermath, where we've seen how well this controls these kind of airborne characters, which of course was just Jackie back then, but it's, you know, it's the same mobility right now. You can force zoning on her, you can catch her out of the air for a full combo, and you can see K-Top looking a little bit uncomfortable here. Does have some issues against, you know, actually, you know, you were saying like the only character that's really fully zoned out Jackie is really Shiva, but this is kind of as close as you can get to a second, right? Is the kind of Loud and Clear style of Sindel. Although, hold on, it's not over yet. Just one more hit, and that is the hit. I was saying it was looking rough, but you know, K-Top always finds a way.
And you know it's going to do enough to kill most of the time anyway. We're just going to be sticking that out. The speed of it, I mean, certainly helps, doesn't it? I feel like you're hard-pressed to find a situation where it's not going to work.
Yep.
But the dash in. Wow, rare footage of that 1-1 just kind of coming out. The second hit landing, but a full confirm now. K-Top gets the down 2. One of the many layers. You break away and you still take a full B&B's worth of damage, and the knockdown gives us some kind of situation. The trade. Ooh, hang on a minute. Creates a grab situation. I mean, we'll take that.
Oh, look at this pressure. Oh, made the down one whiff. This might be it, actually. Or at the very minimum, it's going to be death from damage over time. Yep. Oh, there's no chance of living there. You can see it actually extends pretty far past kind of what you would think it would. Like, she looked like she rolled all the way out, but she still, the damage over time caught her. And yeah, that's, I mean, I was talking about this earlier in the very first matchup of the day that we saw from K-Top, but K-Top just so good at finding the perfect moments against the zoning. Even against, you know, this variation that does manage to control Jackie pretty well from keeping her out of the air with the Banshee Dash. Like, it's just one little opportunity is all that K-Top needs. And that's kind of the uniqueness of, I think, how K-Top plays this character, right? It's a lot like how I was talking about the Scorpions earlier. There are a lot of Jackies that just fly around constantly. They just try to be unpredictable. But, ooh, okay. There's another character that we've seen do well against Jackie come out here.
And a character we've seen Mr. Ramirez pick in the past, but very rarely. I think it's one of his least popular picks, to be honest. But what variation? We have the slide, the sickle snag, and launch, actually. Okay, let's go. This is purely no projectile needed. We just cash out damage wherever possible. You're not going to get the absolute maximum of max, but you're still going to hit like a truck, and she's 950. I think this is going to be... Ooh, I'm curious to see how this one does. It basically means anywhere you catch Jackie, you can convert it into big damage.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially on the ground, obviously with the teleport, but having that air-to-air is, or sorry, the air sickle snag is going to be such a big deal, obviously, in this matchup. It's one that we do tend to see counterpicked when this is being chosen against Jackie. But will it matter? Can you get out of the corner to actually get in a conversion? Oh, drops it off the jump kick. Could have been a lot right there if it was 4-2-2 maybe. Oh, no, sickle
snag tends to be one of the better jump-in option selects too, because you can turn any jump kick into a full combo. Gives you about 30%. Holding onto the meter. However, K-Top still lands that forward throw. You look at these characters and these matchups that Mr. Ramirez has picked himself into. The reality is, eventually, Jackie will get in. So these neutral tools, we're not seeing them have a chance. And that forward two, narrowly whiffing. That was unusual. Uh-oh.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, no. Yep, back in the corner. You get knocked down. Okay, that was a good neutral jump. Just gets a little bit of damage. Took some damage from the damage over time, but at least creates a little bit of space out of that corner, which is probably the most important thing here. Oh, no. We've actually, I mean, so like you said, this is a pick that Mr. Ramirez does not go to all that often, and I kind of feel like we're seeing that. There's a lot of dropped conversions that, especially with the sickle snag, could be so much damage, but they end up being almost nothing, and that's just not going to work against this Jackie.
Potentially last opportunity. I mean, he didn't even want that jump in to actually land. His whole goal there, I think, was to get it on the ground, because if you instinctively press a button, you've got that goop on the floor, you're done. You're finished. That was a smart choice. Ramirez didn't have any opportunities to showcase why he picked Noob Saibot. But we know why. We've seen that character picked a bunch in this matchup, but it comes down to the neutral and anti-air potential, and there was no opportunities to basically enforce either in that match. So does he go noob again, or does he change? This is a hard call to make, I think, if you're in Mr. Ramirez's boot.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to switch back. I think I agree with that. Like I said, I think he found a few openings, right? But the problem is you need to take full advantage of every single opening, and it just looked like maybe he wasn't as, I guess warmed up with Noob is the best way to put it. Like, maybe he hasn't been playing Noob quite as much recently, or just wasn't feeling him as much today because, you know, for instance, like we saw the down 4 anti-air, and then we saw nothing afterwards. But the down 4 anti-air from Noob, normally one of the I would say highest damage anti-airs in the game when you have sickle snag. So just certain little things like that just showed that, you know, not fully in it right now. Just go back to the Sindel. The Sindel was working great. It came down to like one huge comeback hit into a fatal blow. So, you know, it's not over yet. But K-Top looking very comfortable.
Hey! Now, all the meter was spent at the very beginning, but being able to notice that your both bars are gone, you can still go in for that plus on block string and kind of enforce even more on the end of it. And we'll just be patient until the meter is built. Pushing forward in the stagger, the grab game of Jackie, so scary. Oh, there's the wake-up scream. Hang on, full combo incoming.
The funniest thing was if that didn't hit, it was going to be a crushing blow the other direction. That was hilarious.
One of us dies right now.
Yeah, they're just hard reads on the crushing blows. I'm dying saying that.
Hang on, that's an escape failed. fantastic tool for Sindel. Uh-oh. Looking to create the distance. The jump in lovely down for anti-air. Mr. Ramirez showing no fear. You're not allowed to just press whatever you want. In that instance, you have to be careful.
Down 4, an amazing anti-air. I like talking about it every single time that I see it, because I feel like people don't really rate that as good of an AA as it is.
Oh, yeah, it actually looks like one of the more consistent in the game, too. Because you can just down 4 hair, and it's like way more damage than you're ever expecting. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
K-Top getting sent to the moon.
Oh, yeah. But here we go. Corner pressure. Actually, takes the corner himself. Doesn't matter. You can get out. Oh, good poke back, and that's going to be a side switch. Another advantage of hair. You can take whatever direction you want. Just backing up, saying, okay, zoning time. Oh, no, the perfect full screen leap. Again, finding that perfect moment. Maybe just a little bit late for Mr. Ramirez on the counter right there. But good patience. Great patience. Not a lot of throws, so I think Mr. Ramirez is just comfortable blocking.
That's going to get cashed out.
More opening. Oh, yeah. Now for sure, fatal blow.
Oh, looking for it there.
Oh, dropped it, but stuffed the fatal blow on the other side. Oh, there it is.
Oh, no.
That is it. And the breakaway. Oh, no. I mean, I appreciate the attempt there. That was a really tough one because you don't really know if you're within range or not for them to be able to actually fully finish you off. But now no defensive bar going into potentially final round here. Still match point for K-Top, but Mr. Ramirez not looking like it's affecting him.
I love the whip
mix.
and flip as the ender rather than the hair because it just has so much corner carry. You see, we almost went coast to coast from that.
Whip and flip also extremely high damage. So actually just like a really good ender no matter what.
Looks to whiff punish, but there's that 1-1-2, tries to wake up fatal blow. No success. It's going to be hard now for K-Top to make it. Just grab's going to miss completely and give Mr. Ramirez some kind of breathing space. And we're now going to go in 2-1 still, but with that kind of performance, we could see the reverse sweep, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the problem though is that the noob sidebot pick didn't really work out. So forfeiting that one game essentially is a really tough choice, and that is one of the biggest issues. I talk about it a lot, but when you're like a multi-character specialist, is knowing. Like, you have to be 100% confident when you want to choose which character. Because if you're kind of like wishy-washy and you end up choosing a character that you're going to regret later, just even giving up one game could mean the entire set. But like you said, you know, with that game and how it went, a 3-0 comeback is definitely on the table. It's just managing to stop K-Top from finding his moment that many rounds in a row. It's going to be tough. But, you know, character's got the tools, character's got the damage. We'll see if it happens.
There was definitely sloppiness, I think, from K-Top's gameplay in that game. The dashing grabs, the amount of grabs that whiffed and weren't even close to being at effective range, missing buttons. It was definitely not the cleanest game from him, and that's going to be one of the first things I think that needs to just get tightened up into the rest of this series, because you know that Mr. Ramirez is going to run away with it if you're not playing at that 100%, especially with this Sindel. It was one of the original kind of Sindels that rocked loud and clear. One of the most successful. Oh, I think he tried to punish there. However, never mind. Again, corner carry and damage. It's so good.
It really is. And the knockdown's great too. Everything about it in general. But yeah, this Sindel, it's a very scary variation. I'm surprised we don't see this specific variation more. We see a lot of like this, but instead of the whip and flip, we see the floats that you can get those ridiculous combos from the Banshee dashes. But overall, I mean, I feel like whip and flip adds so much damage and mix-up potential to the variation, or even just threat. You know, just the fact that it's always there means that like zoning is scarier, poking is scarier because it's got that crushing blow on the end of it. But yeah, we don't see it all that often. Okay, big combo leading into the corner, and this is going to be so hard to avoid. Chip jumps out, has the corner. Oh, doesn't get the punish on the screen. That would have been 1-1-2 fatal blow. Still has an opportunity though. Not this time. That's gonna be Chip. Similar situation to what we saw in the very first game, but Mr. Ramirez this time not getting poked.
But this is where we're at though, isn't it? If Mr. Ramirez is hitting that next level right now, and these anti-air attempts, they're just not working out. K-Top finds an opening, and more pressure. Knocked down, more plus frames as well. The respect being shown. I think at this point with this health, almost content to just hold the throws right now, but this is where K-Top plays. He relishes that chip damage. Sometimes he'd rather just chip damage than grab. You know, the chip damage is the risk-free section.
Yeah, and I mean,
overhead, slay him.
eventually have to press a button, right? Like, you can't just sit there and block forever. So K-Top's like, yeah, that's fine. You know, you take your time, I'll take my time. I'll let my meter build back. That's fine. But look at all this space. Look at all this space K-Top has to get through.
Needs to make it count.
Gets a hit.
Quite rightly so, Mr. Ramirez. He'll survive. I was about to say, quite rightly so that he didn't break. If he broke that, he would have died for sure. But now, breathing space.
Oh, this is a zoning match now at this point. Yeah, good block, but the whip and flip's there. The whip and flip can punish a lot of these spawn reaction. Oh, no! Oh, I was gonna say, but not the high one because it hits that exact angle. If that was any other character, I feel like I cursed the way that that ended, and now look at this. Immediately, K-Top starting off, no conversion, so it could be a little bit worse, or a lot worse, really, for Mr. Ramirez, but still, oh, no. There we go. Gets another opportunity, calls out the breakaway with the down two.
That's a nice read.
Yeah, that was. It's not something we've seen Mr. Ramirez go to really this set.
Not much at all. Normally, Dash Punch, I think, being a pretty good punish on it. So trying to show that respect. A little bit of bonus damage. That full screen leap, the flawless block, but Ramirez had no meter to launch it. And now he's in big trouble.
Oh,
this has to be it.
That's it for sure. Yeah, there's no way out of that. Not the first time in the set that we saw that, but that's the classic. And that's one of the reasons why I like watching K-Top so much. He never lets opportunities like that go by. Knows exactly what you can safely do with Oki. One of the first Jackies that we saw really fully take advantage of those kind of like short hop into instant blast on Oki as a whiff intentionally to get that extra amount of damage, either whether it be, you know, in chip through the more pressure or just to close out the round. So K-Top showing why he's so clean, moving on to the winners finals as our first player of the day.
I think it was just thoroughly well played. Had to tighten things up at the last minute, and a couple of mishaps that are always going to leave you feeling kind of bad, I think, for Mr. Ramirez, and will frustrate. Hopefully he can keep it together because he's knocked now into the loser's bracket, where he has every opportunity of getting that top four. And the big thing about these monthly finals has always been that not only is there more money to play for in the monthly finals compared to what the invitationals used to be, is that you have a distinct $100 difference between fourth and third. So every placement matters, but also the importance of top four is much larger. And now it's monthly finals only. I think there's added pressure on players to kind of make it into that top four situation, Chef.
Oh, yeah, I mean, for sure. But I also like the fact, you know, there's new players who it's going to, like, be an extra even amount of pressure on them, right? Like K-Top, like, yeah, obviously, you know, it's a lot of pressure on him, but I think he kind of thrives in the pressure. You know, it's kind of similar to, he's said it before that when he's in the loser's bracket, he's always stronger for whatever reason. But, so we kind of know the pressure's going to help him. The question is for the other players. And Chumi, JL, being one of those players, you know, one of the players that we haven't really seen in the Open Series and a lot of tournaments in general, but showing an extremely good Scorpion, but now is going to have to beat one of the best Scorpions in the world, and certainly one of the best in the region, who just defeated another one of the best Scorpions in the world and in the region. So this is going to be the second Scorpion mirror in a row, potentially, for Mercer. Of course, that's kind of a big assumption, I'd say. There is, of course, the chance that we're going to immediately see either one go to a different character. We know for sure Mercer's character, I don't know, toolbox, I don't know what the technical word for that is, but we know he's got multiple characters in his pocket if he needs to. On the other side, we don't really know so much, you know? We've only seen Scorpion so far.
The two characters that Chumi listed as his kind of main tournament picks was Scorpion as the main, and then Liu Kang as the secondary. So there's a potential that we'll see Liu Kang here. Not everyone likes playing the mirror, let's be honest. There are players out there that they'll have a favorite character, but they just don't like playing the mirror match. And it's a common thing for players to not like the mirror. Some players love it, if they're weird. But I think that in tournament, you have all these other characters that maybe you have a character that you think does well versus your own main, then you'll just pick that if someone tries to mirror you. And that could be, you know, maybe one of the situations here. I'm kind of just spitballing theories, though, because we haven't seen much of Chumi, least of all in Open Series and PS4 tournaments in general. Made one hell of a debut. And it will be another one. Let's go.
All right, I like to see it. You know, I like to see that confidence, just going with your main no matter what. You know, a lot of players don't like playing the mirror matches, but it's something that you got to know. You know, you got to be comfortable with it. Obviously, Mercer, very comfortable with it, and then it's time to see Chumi. And, you know, again, yeah, there's not a lot that we can say, I feel, because, you know, one of the first times that we're seeing them, and we just kind of have to wait and see how it goes. There's not a lot of really good predictions, but like I said, this is going to be a tough one, no matter what. Doesn't matter how good you are. So, we do see the... Actually, you know what? I didn't look at the variations. I forgot to look at the variations for some reason.
Well, if it's similar to what they've had before, we know Mercer's rocking the Sin Blade, and it's likely to be Jimmy with the buff.
Yeah, we've already
seen a lot more
him
similarities to Mirko.
But the Sin Blade seems like it works really well. It's just the thing is, a lot of Scorpions, I think, are not really practiced with Sin Blade. Obviously, Mercer very much is. And I think that's one of the reasons why he tends to have kind of a foot up in this mirror match.
Ready for the jump out, though. That forward 3. Ooh, double short hop.
What? Okay. I don't think that was what he was meant to do. There's almost
maybe
no way.
A short hop into flawless block, maybe?
Maybe. Regardless, a little bit weird. Right now, though, Chumi kind of running over Mercer. This is pretty surprising.
Well, the people favored Mercer, that's for sure. 70% of them, in fact. Now,
I mean,
50% health down. The wonderful block on the overhead, and there it is. Okay, Chumi, folks, off to a good start. There's the point of death. You dead.
But yeah, I mean, how can you see Mercer do so well in this matchup? You know, essentially went 2-0 in the mirror against Mirko, and then not assume that Mercer's going to do extremely well in this mirror for forever, you know, in every single matchup, essentially. But Chumi, yeah, again, you know, really impressing me with his first showing, and again, taking an early lead in this round, and going to take the corner back with the spear. One of the nicest thing about the corner in this mirror matchup in particular is that the 4-3-4 does make the flawless block of 2-whiff, so you can really use that pretty freely in the corner here. Did you even need to? Gosh! Jeez, this is so surprisingly one-sided.
Are we seeing just a message get sent right now? That's what I wonder. Like, is there a new Scorpion in town? You think you've seen it all with loads of Scorpions out there, and then here comes Chumi, the first game, in fact. Now, we've seen Italian Scorpions. We've seen Russian Scorpions. We've actually seen, to be fair, we've seen Spanish Scorpions anyway because of Javier, but now a second one.
That's true.
Here we go.
Scorpions from around the world, right? I mean, one of the most popular characters actually probably the most popular character in the franchise. I don't know if it's between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, who's more popular, but definitely one of those two. So, yeah, of course, we're going to see Scorpions from around the world, but it's cool to see. And it's cool to see how they all match up against each other. But yeah, that was a heck of a statement, right? Like, literally, there's no better way to see, like, oh, how good are these people at the mirror than to just literally put all of the Scorpions all against each other in a row. And obviously, all these players extremely world class. So to have your first showing and immediately have such a strong first game, I mean, that was pretty dominant. That was very impressive. I would really like to know more about Chumi because, I mean, it's very rare, I think, that especially like this many years into a game's life that we just suddenly see this player coming out of nowhere, a young player based on the age that they gave us in the survey, and they're just playing this well against the other best Scorpions in the world.
I do kind of wonder if, and again, this is just me theory crafting, but I kind of wonder if there has been an element of sort of Chumi playing with Javier a bunch. I know both of them do hail from Spain, I believe. And one of the things about Chumi, we always have ask questions in their survey, what are their most proud accomplishments in competitive? And his is listed as just improving so fast in MK11. So I think he's going to be one of the newer players. I do believe he's just 18, right? So he is of the younger generation. And it is very common for the younger players to kind of practice with those that have been around a bit longer, and they play a similar style to each other. They even play the same variation. Like, they both seem to rock the Burning Spear and the Teleport Cancel. I'm seeing a lot of Javier in this gameplay as well, you know, I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's I certainly have to agree with that, but I mean, definitely saying that like they improved extremely fast is it seems certainly like the case. Oh no, this is big. No defensive bar, that's gonna be it. Yeah, might have been able to do that without the meter, just letting the spirit go, but wanted to be 100% sure. I fully understand that. You do not want to let that comeback happen. No defense bar yourself either, so you're at danger of being chipped. Ooh, the cancel into the grab. Just goes for the forward grab, maybe keeping it a little bit more unpredictable. Right, knockdown from spear. It's always going to be a good knockdown.
I mean, the pressure begins. Very standard stuff here. Lovely read, and I kind of like the Sin Blade for that. In a lot of cases, when you neutral jump someone's throw, sometimes you're in the air for so long that you can't punish them on the way down. I think Sin Blade goes so far, that just isn't a risk, and say goodbye to the head.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's such a safe option. It's, you know, it's funny. We've obviously been doing some MKX stuff recently, and you know, you really get to look back at all these really good neutral jump punches with the really far ranges, and you're like, oh yeah, that was such a good option, because there's a lot of situations where, like you said, you know, like if you jump a grab, you know, sometimes you just don't get a punish, or sometimes, let's say they throw out a down poke and you happen to jump over it, right? You neutral jump over it. Sometimes by the time you land, you're already going to get anti-aired, right? Their down one is going to recover. They're going to be able to throw out maybe another down one, a stand one, something like that, down two. But if you have that Sin Blade, it makes so many different things that they can throw out that are normally safe, kind of in that range or in that like speed, a very, very big risk, because I mean, the combos off that are huge. Plus, it's one of the few ways, in fact, one of the only ways that Scorpion can actually set you up into his armor breaker setup, which is not really something that we've seen so far, but it is there.
But I think we're seeing very much just this constant continuation of what has been the Scorpion Gauntlet today, it seems. That Sin Blade so good for reading those grabs. We saw it a couple of times in the last game, and already now Mercer starting to up the ante just a little bit. Oi.
Yeah, definitely made some really strong adaptations, and I do think a lot of it was using Sin Blade more. You know, got to use what you've got in your variation. We saw the buff a little bit out of Chumi before, but really it just seems like neither of these players are really having a lot of time to set up or almost even use kind of what their variation has, because they're just brawling. You know, this isn't like a footsie game. They're just like taking turns pressuring.
Oh, we're throwing down. Absolutely, we're throwing down right now. But with Chumi able to take that first round here, showing a lot of respect in those staggers so far. Looks for the punish, and that string is punishable by itself, but it is a tight one. Ooh, not quite. Eeh. If we committed all the way, it would have got rid of the spear buff, but we would have got some kind of full combo. Mercer doesn't have meter for breakaway, but now has an opening.
Yeah, getting that 4-3-4 crushing blow with no defensive meter on the other side is like pretty much Scorpion's best option for damage. All right, lens the grab. Hey. Oh, I didn't even realize he had that. I'm so bad at that. Definitely my weakest point in MK11 is seeing when people have that locked and loaded. But good way to cash it out. Yeah, you want to try to close this out. Oh, big combo. No defensive bar. That might be it. No, didn't have a second bar. Sorry, looked the other way. Oh,
I actually like that. I'm going to be honest, though. I do like that wake-up teleport from Mercer. And the reason being is that in a lot of cases, I think a lot of us read either forward 4 or back 3, some kind of, you know, advancing button. In a lot of instances, when someone's that weak, a back 3 tends to be like the predictable answer. And although it's a really good overhead, it has got that little bit of startup. And the fact that he was far away meant that if the back 3 was committed to, I'm pretty sure by the time it lands, Scorpion would have already disappeared and positioned on the other side. So looked a little bit random, but I'm sure there was a lot more to it, and it must have lied in just what button he thought Scorpion was going to do there.
Yeah, I mean, it's always important to remember, right, that for everybody out there, that when you get to that low of health, the risk reward of everything is severely warped. Like, blocking has the same risk as random teleporting on wake up, right? Just because of, it doesn't matter. One wrong read either way and you're dead. So realistically, the teleport had a ton of reward. It might have even been the best risk reward in that situation in general, because you land it and maybe you can make this comeback. But if you sit there and block, which is usually the smart option to do, you have to assume that they're going to do something unsafe. Otherwise, you're just getting chipped, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, definitely a smart choice right there. You've got to take those risks at the end, and just shows kind of that level of tournament experience. But Chumi just looking like a pro. I mean, if I almost want to say that, like, this, if I had known any better, or if I didn't know better, I would have almost assumed, like, is this a player that we've seen before under a different name? But no, I don't think there's any reason. And also, the other really good Scorpions are in this bracket already. So, like, for sure, you know, this is just another really good Scorpion. And again, look at this. Look at this. Great conversions, amazing pressure, great fake outs, great mix-ups. Chumi just needs chip now. There's no defensive bar. Oh, there's still a chance. Fatal blow available.
Mercer fighting back. Oh, and he gets the grab as well, just like that. He's going to steal that round away. About 3% left in the tank, and he somehow finds it. Really good stuff, but I mean, it's like I said, right? Scorpion's an explosive character. The mirror certainly demonstrates that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once he gets that momentum going, it is so hard to deal with. And I mean, Scorpion's a pretty good character defensively too, right? Like his down poke is amazing. His down 1 is incredible. His down 4, and like he can teleport out. He can jump out. He's got a really like fasted, like rising hurt box when he jumps, I would say is the weird way to put it. But regardless, once one of these two gets their offense going, it just looks like there's just no way to deal with it. Obviously there is. They're just that good.
Oh, the micro duck was so micro. We barely saw it, Chef. That was a good one. And Mercer fighting back again. The back 3. Another one. I tell you, calling it out perfectly. The escape. Whiff punish. That was such a sick buffer.
Okay, but that's a lot of damage, you know. Oh, never mind. I was going to say there's an opportunity there, but that, again, wake-up button is working really, really well. And, yeah, Mercer making the adaptations this time, you know. That microduck was beautiful. Using the Sin Blade really well again, too. It seems like every time that Mercer is able to bring out the Sin Blade, it's worked really well. It's just, he doesn't find the opportunity all that much because the pressure on the other side is just really oppressive.
With this game 5, it's so hard to predict who even thinks going to take this. They've just been taking it in turns to win a game each at this point. So who's going to have that final upper hand? Do we now see Chumi maybe change character for all we know? I have no idea. With how things are going, I think it's probably going to be the Scorpion still, but it is impossible to tell with the debut being at hand. But again, as close as it is, I've got to call this. It has to be a 50-50. I have such little information going into this final game because of what we've seen so far. Very evenly matched.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think regardless of win or lose from Chumi, this is a huge statement. Like, yeah, I'm here. I'm able to literally brawl with the best of my character, you know, and there's like, regardless, you know, even if with Chumi like loses here and then loses off stream, like we'll immediately see Chumi as a gigantic threat in every single bracket going forward, which is very impressive for just one single showing in the open series. Usually it takes people a couple, maybe 3, even more times than that. But we'll see, you know, because a win here would even just accentuate that even more. But right now, in the corner, has to get out. Oh, that
Picks
was
him
so
up.
far away. What? Great.
That was really
knowledge.
expensive too. A wake up being used and then the other bar being used on the interaction in the background.
Yeah,
Like
but I mean,
that forward 4 now, no meter to flawless block interrupt.
yeah, that interactable's so good. So use it when you can. Great restand. Oh, all these overheads blocked. Oh, I say that, but not that one. Oh, no counter hit. That's pretty lucky. Oh, made him with the down 1, but wasn't confident that he was going to be pressing a button right there. Could have gone for the back 1 with punish, 4-3-4 with punish. No conversion of the down 1. Oh, that's it. That's it. Easy, quick conversion. You spend out that fatal blow when you can with Scorpion. You just want to take any opportunity to close things out, not letting him break away or anything.
All right, that's going to be Mercer on that match point. Can he make it into winners finals, I wonder? So close.
Yeah, of course, the winner of this is going to be taking on K-Top. So not an easy road ahead for either one, but we will at least see Scorpion in every round of the upper bracket today. Question is which one? Right now, Mercer just slightly ahead. But I want to see this go to a final round, quite honestly. Oh, well, that's a good way to do it. Not a crushing ball I expected to see in this mirror. I mean, how often do you get that in any matchup, let alone one where your opponent's not going to be that far away usually? But
The short hops are coming out too. Gets the jump into reposition. This could be it. Expects a stagger. The standing 1 doesn't quite work out though. Back-to-back pokes. We Scorpion up in here. Oh, he teleports himself into the corner. Don't know about that.
Yeah, oh, the tick throw. This is such a scary quarter for Scorpion. He just gets so many opportunities to tick throw, but here we go, back throw. Now it's the other way around, blocks. But he pushed on minus frames, and that is going to be a final round. I got my wish, and now at this point, of course, may the best Scorpion win. I just wanted to see it come down to this. Corner positioning, though, is huge here. Huge, and Chumi's the one with it. Now, you see he's not really going for that interactable, but he knows that Mercer knows how the interactable works, obviously, since he's using it himself. So that just means he's going to try to escape the option sometimes, which might lead to a free hit.
There's so much respect being shown because of it, though. See, they just blocked in each other's faces and did basically nothing. Looks for the down 1, getting crushed by the overhead, though. Definitely a messy round so far, but a clean confirm from Mercer. Even more damage to come, and he gets the harder link. The combo is tricky.
And now it's a 50-50. Oh, good wake up. Oh, that was almost a really good conversion. Almost the armor break, but instead gets punished, and that should... Oh, there's still a chance. There's still a very tiny chance. Probably has to pressure until this fatal blow comes back, but this is not over by any means.
Oh, the call out! That was such a hard read to make, but I mean, with basically 1% in it, you had no choice. But, my lord, what a savage mirror that was. Mercer takes it, but he has to fight tooth and nail for it.
Yeah, Mercer has had to do that pretty much the entire tournament so far, but I mean, well fought and well earned. That was, I mean, I love that read actually at the end, though, I gotta say, from Chumi, because it was very much like the wake up teleport that we saw Mercer doing, you know? You're down to that moment where any hit will chip kill you, right? So you just have to make a read, and if that forward 4 connected, then sure, you get the hit, you land it, you go into fatal blow, maybe GG. If they try to flawless block the second hit of it, then sure, you land the spear, maybe GG. The only way that works, or that doesn't work, is if your opponent just sits there and blocks the entire thing, which, of course, Mercer was very much ready to do, and he really, by doing that, of course, earned his spot in that upper bracket finals. But I gotta say, that was a brawl of a back-and-forth match.
Yeah, and it does open up for a familiar encounter, right? We have Mercer versus K-Top, I think, as our winners finals. So you can see if he's able to kind of conquer that Jackie. But like I said, when Mercer's having one of those days where it feels like he's just unstoppable, he's able to do well against Jackie as well. I kind of just wonder what character he'll pick for that, whether it's going to be Scorpion, maybe he'll change to the Cetrion, I'm not sure. But we're moments away from finding out. Chumi, I'd love to see it make that top 4. But the question is, where does the losers bracket journey bring him? Is it going to be another Scorpion mirror off stream? I mean, it's a potential.
Or another Scorpion versus Katana, which has already technically happened twice in this tournament, and there's a good chance it'll happen a third time, I think, based on the fact there's a Katana kind of on both sides of that lower bracket. So, yeah, a lot of weird repeat matches today, especially if there's a matchup that you wouldn't expect to happen. A lot of it is going to be that one. But there actually are some updates from the lower bracket where Mirko is going over Zengoi's. So the Katana actually... Scorpion match cannot happen again. Happened only 2 times. But also Mirko going over Mr. Ramirez very quickly. I mean, that was like instantly. We just saw that other match happen. I guess it was a pretty quick 3-0. So Mirko, of course, fighting his way forward. And now Chumi and Disarded are going to have to fight off in maybe the classic ninja match to see who can take on Mirko. And then maybe have another mirror or classic ninja match itself, as K-Top and Mercer are going to fight for their grand final spot.
But 4 series left to go, and that's going to be our monthly finals for EU wrapped up. But if you enjoyed today, stick around, because we will be taking a bit of an extended break and then jumping into North America's monthly finals with a fresh new bracket. For those that want to play in PS4 tournaments, it's at the bottom of your screen, compete.playstation.com. It isn't just MK11 covered in these tournaments. There are plenty of other games too. So if any of them give you a bit of curiosity to jump into the world of competitive, do it. There's no reason not to. May as well give it a go, and we'd love to see you. We're going to go for a break. When we return, this EU and CIS tournament will have its conclusion for the month.
Jokes, no gimmicks, just combat.
PlayStation.
It's about time that we finish today's entertainment for EU and CIS before we jump into North America here for our monthly finals of the PS4 MK11 Open Series. 4 players are about to remain. I believe our fight for top 4 is taking place off stream as we speak, because now we're jumping into winners finals, where it's going to be Mercer versus K-Top.
Ooh, yeah, a classic matchup. 2 players who've been playing in the Open Series for a very long time, but I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, that Mercer is kind of like a hot or cold type of player, where there's some days where Mercer just kind of falls off early. Today, not one of those days. Today, definitely a hot day for Mercer, managing to close out some very, very difficult wins, 2 matches in a row against very strong Scorpion players, but now having to deal with a very different matchup in K-Top. One, though, that he's been very experienced in dealing with. Mercer and Mirko both, for whatever reason, not just the fact they play Scorpion, but also just their playstyles have proven extremely effective against the kind of airborne characters, specifically Jackie. So we do know that Mercer is quite good at this matchup, but K-Top is just so solid. Plus, K-Top has those other characters up his sleeve, which I think is a really nice addition. Not that he hasn't been able to play those characters very well in the past, but the fact that he's been using them more means that just even more ready to pull out when he needs kind of like a secondary pick, which is not often, but you always want to have options.
So the people narrowly favor Mercer in this, it seems. 53% may as well be a split completely down the middle when it comes to audience prediction. But it's a hard one to call. If we're going by recent results, I'd say K-Top has the advantage, but he's run a lot of Scorpion in the past and has lost to Scorpion as well. So this is just going to be a matter of 2 super high-skilled players giving it their absolute best, I imagine. And this comes down to what kind of Mercer we're getting in this set. If Mercer doesn't bring that 150% level of, I think, intensity that he normally does against Jackie, then K-Top will probably take this. But if Mercer is on that A game, could absolutely make it into that grand final winner's side.
Yeah, I mean, another issue, though, for Mercer is that both of his matches so far have been really, like, rough matches. Like, it's been down to game 5, like, final hits. He's barely been able to eke out a win. And even though it's only been those 2 that we've seen on stream, this is the monthly finals, where that wasn't where these players started off. So they had some matches off stream, too, where, he had to defeat Acid and Matza. That's always going to be another really stressful matchup. Doesn't matter what character you use or who you are. So this is going to be, just another in a long line of very tough, close matches. And eventually that does start to kind of weigh on you. The burnout can be a little bit real. And K-Top, on the other hand, has had some matches that are tough, but they tend to go by a little bit quicker, and the scores weren't quite as close. So might be a little bit fresher going into this, but it all really depends on how they're feeling on the day. If, one person runs out of steam or the other one is just ready to deal with that. So we'll see. Like you said, this is kind of just another one of those matches today where it's like, we'll see. We know these players are good. They've both done it. They'll do it again in the future, but who's going to win today?
Well, that first game might give us all the information that we need. K-Top playing no games this time round, and it's going to be Jackie all the way, I imagine. As now, the Send Blade and the Cancel, the classic variation that Mercer brings forward, but a lot of confidence and, I think, unpredictability versus Jackie, which can go a long way. Let's get the show on the road, Chef.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And already starting off strong. Interesting way to start off. Throwing out these projectiles is always going to be very unsafe for Jackie in this matchup. For really anybody, I would say. So starting off that way, not something I'd expect. And I mean, you can see immediately. Oh, wow. Okay, that was a read. So immediately starting off with the really nice call out on the teleport cancel, which actually might have been a punish. I'm not sure if you can actually really punish it with that preemptive of a call out, but both of these players swinging back and forth with really strong early reads, both landing a jump kick, but no conversion. And unfortunately, that is a wake up punish. If that conversion had hit, that might have been a win the other way. But instead, it is going to be the first round to K-Top, and that was a swing of a first round. I really thought that that was going to go super one way for Mercer. K-Top bringing it all the way back, but again, K-Top, in multiple multiple interviews and on Twitter and such, and just in personal conversation, has mentioned that he plays so much better under pressure. And when you're in the lower bracket, that's automatic pressure the entire set. But when you're down that much life, that also technically gives you a strong level of pressure. Oh, went for the crushing blow, but I think the crushing blow was already used in the first round, so that wasn't available the second time. And I mean, talk about pressure. Here we go. Gonna have to make another huge comeback to make this round, but not looking like it's possible this time. 4-3, 4-3, 4-3 all in a row. And that's one round apiece.
I've got to say, I really like that leap, though, so we've punished the spear. That's a punish I haven't really seen all that much before. Letting the forward 3-4 rock, in this case, staggering it so many times. Looks for the anti-air, but not quite. No one home. And that's now going to be a full combo in the corner. Knockdown for K-Top. What's next? Mercer with 2 bars of defense. That's normally where you think, right, there's going to be some kind of wake-up. Doesn't amplify it. I think just did not trust the likelihood of that teleport to autocorrect and turn around. So close to the corner.
Yeah, well, he was right. If that had been an amplify, that would have been a wake-up punish with like a 1-1-2 for sure. But instead, it kind of just left the K-Top in the corner, which was a really weird way for that teleport to hit. So very good call, but oh no. Is this going to be in a fatal blow? No! I don't know if that was a drop or a reset or what, but there's still another opportunity. The fatal blow not working again. We've seen K-Top go for that like 4 times today, and it still hasn't worked once, which is surprising. Usually K-Top has a pretty good call on when people are going to press buttons, but too many patient players today, and this time instead of the head pulls out the heart.
I think I know what happened at the end too. I really think that K-Top was looking to squeeze out every inch of damage that he could, and he was basically frames away from his offensive bar coming back. So he spent 1 bar on the amplified, that shrapnel blast basically, and then right as he does the next projectile, a couple of frames later, that second bar came back, and I think that was the plan, was to try and do it so that you can spend both and then fatal blow, which probably would have won the round. It's just he miscalculated it by the smallest margin possible. But Mercer able to capitalize and punish it accordingly. Just good showing. And that was just game 1 at the end of the day. So K-Top, plenty of opportunities to bring it back, but I'm liking the Mercer that we're seeing. He's looking prepared and ready. Sometimes Mercer he'll struggle to get a top 8. You know, he's a rather inconsistent player, but when he's on, he can win the whole thing, and he has done in the past. It's great to see that almost return to form.
Yeah, and I mean, can do it, and is kind of looking pretty well set up to do it right now. I mean, if things continue like they were in that first game, I mean, there were a few close rounds, but most of them had to be huge comebacks from K-Top. And as good as K-Top is at making huge comebacks, it's still always going to be an uphill battle. And again, it's going to have to be that same thing. We're already seeing so much damage add up within the first, like, 15 seconds of this game. But, you know, it can go the other way pretty quickly, too, I guess. This is Jackie. Never look down on that Jackie damage. Spending that for crushing blow early, though, it's going to be a resource you want. Oh, no.
Laying it rock and pushing forward some more. Mercer down on life, but with that fatal blow. Oh, I like that call out from K-Top, knowing that cancel was not going to be a thing against Jackie. Dash punches too fast, and it's going to chase that down. Now, 1 round here for the Greek, but Mercer just about to build every ounce of his meters back. Not going to use breakaway now. I think waits, to see if there's a down 2 first. I like that patience.
Yeah. It's, I mean, this is going to be a really weird match of, like, patience versus going wild, right? Like when we saw Scorpion Mirrors, it was almost entirely patience and like pulling out those big bursts of speed and unpredictability. A lot more rare, but I think at this one, both characters really have the opportunity to kind of do it either style against each other. Ooh, and right there, we're seeing actually the patience from K-Top, you know, just sitting there breaking a lot in a row, and it's going to pay off. That's going to be it.
Wonderful damage, completely guaranteed in that case. You're on that kind of 34% threshold, and Jackie hits you on the ground, and she's got 2 bars. There ain't nothing you're doing to break that combo. You're dead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as far as, like, practical damage, that is just... She has probably, I'd say, the highest overall, just because almost another character in the game keeps you grounded for as many of their combos. That was one of the strengths I think that we saw from, actually from Liu Kang earlier, back when people were using a lot of Liu Kang. Not sure why people aren't right now. He's still really good, but, you know, doing a lot of, like, just hits into bicycle kicks was, like, just a ton of damage you could never break. And that's one of the issues you run into against Jackie, is, like, eventually you can break into combo, but do you ever really want to? Usually it's just a mistake because you take almost as much damage damage, and then now you can't break the next one, so she can launch you immediately, and that's what makes her so scary. That's what makes her so good at comebacks too. You know, she can really put you into kind of this checkmate scenario. Not only with that, but with the damage over times. And K-Top is just so good at that. But yeah, this is looking like to be another close set. We're just gonna go to a bunch of game 5s today.
Maybe, with the way things are going. One game apiece right now, but that's the extension, I think, of the conversation we had earlier, right? And oh no! No. The active frames of the down 3 caught the back 3 before it came out. That is, I've never seen that exchange before.
That was very weird.
God.
I hope we get to see that on replay, because that was certainly weird. I love that we can still be this far into the game and still see weird things that we haven't seen yet.
It would be Jackie, wouldn't it? I bet it would. Always.
Always Jackie. But Mercer at Fatal Blow range breaks away, tries to get the punish. Oh, but maybe should have tried to go for a 1-1. That is not going to be it. You can always break away from teleport. Oh, but the crushing blow was there.
Oh, and it did enough.
That is for sure going to be it.
Now, the forward throw does apply the bleed, right? So the initial grab only does 18%, but I think the fact that Jackie's 950 must have played a part in that not being the killing blow. However, waiting for the button press, and it will land. We're going to cash out already and take big damage here. Plus frames as well. All of this being chip. Time for the resources to come back as K-Top goes for another lovely answer, though, from Mercer.
Oh, yeah. Again, one of the reasons why Scorpion can do so well in this matchup is that sometimes you don't have to take the mix-up that a lot of the characters do. You just get out of there and then punish her on the way down with the teleport. Or sometimes you just get hit and you die. It can kind of go both directions.
That's just enough. Wow, these are very even games right now. One game apiece, one round to take the lead officially. Such a big turn of momentum, whoever wins this next match. I tell you what, the dash in into the stagger, this is where the game gets a lot scarier. K-Top has not been throwing very much at all, and this is the next layer. K-Top realizes that his opponent is just sitting there holding all the pressure, and that's where he just throws in enough grabs to make you stress. But now, a lovely confirm and no breaker for K-Top. Just goes for the raw forward 3, does not want to risk dropping it afterwards.
That is so much damage, especially on such a low health character. The down 2 is going to catch the hop. That might have been an attempt at a floss walk or something, but oh, good patience. Oh no, as I say that, the button comes out, gets whip punished. Again, though, I don't think this is quite enough. I think it's going to be very, very close. This might be a guaranteed chip kill, but
Plasma.
Yeah, not quite. Oh, this is scary. What do you do here?
Yo, the flawless block! Mercer flawless block, the leap jump kick. And the wake up. Oh, the wake up roll. That was the choice right there. That was the one. Of all potential wake ups he could have done, I think most would have lost to that press by Mercer. But the back roll, trying to stay nice and safe. And to read the back roll there, Mercer had to make like the psychic read. And understandably wasn't able to do it. There were so many things that could have happened there that you need to just roll those dice and make a play.
Yeah, that one was going to be really tough. I mean, maybe like a raw teleport or something like that, but I mean, the timing on that would have had to been so specific, or just chasing her down with a run. Regardless, it was a really smart option, a pretty safe option from K-Top, because like I said, even if you do expect the back roll, there's a good opportunity that you don't actually get the punish, and maybe you mess up the punish, and then you get punished yourself. But yeah, that was a very important round, I think. I mean, a very important hit, I would say, down to the very end right there, because that was just down to one hit, giving somebody an entire game lead in the set. And now, it's just one more for K-Top overall to move into grand finals. And that's a lot more pressure on Mercer, who definitely can do it. This is probably as close as it gets. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole set went down to a final round like we've seen so many others today, but having that lead is still a big deal.
There's that double blast though. Mercer, you want to try and interrupt this leap pressure? Well, then K-Top is always going to just add those extra layers. However, I like the awareness. Mercer knows you've got no meter for shrapnel blast. That is going to be a punish. Oh, but the double blast again. That is unsafe, but K-Top not afraid to enforce that mix.
Yeah, just knows when just to pull it out just rarely enough, rarely enough that you're not expecting it. Because also you're like, okay, K-Top plays so safe. Why would he ever do that? Oh no, gets clipped again, and that's gonna be it. Match point now for K-Top to move into the winner's side of Grand Finals.
Round 2. Fight.
Now Mercer having to use that breakaway, starting this round with no meter to break. It is going to be scary, I think. The meaty mids. He doesn't want to press. K-Top has punished him so many times. There's the anti-air.
It's scary, man. It's scary. I mean, especially getting hit by that fatal blow in that last game, just for pressing any single button. That was really, really painful. Oh,
Lovely.
cool conversion.
Great stuff there from Mercer. Not afraid. And there's that counter hit. Goes in for the spear just in case. You know, if K-Top broke that, he would have teleported himself into the corner.
Okay, so this is still not over. Fatal blow's available, and this is Jackie. 2 grabs in a row? What's the third option? This is the scariest thing. Oh, puts damage over time on the ground. Oh no, one more hit. Oh, this is so scary. Look how much damage he's taking, but the down 2. And oh no, the wake up fiddle backwards is gonna take it. No way. No way.
Mercer has to be sitting in his chair thinking, what? How? No way. Goes in for the teleport, and on the other side, Jackie goes, bah! And there's that fatal blow. Grand Finals on the winner's side now is K-Top. Gonna put up a chair and wait for the rest of the competition.
Oh, that's so rough. He might have honestly thought that the back roll was coming out again, right? He's
Maybe.
like, okay, did it before, gonna do it again. That's the only thing that makes sense here. Wake up fatal blow was so far out of range that the fact that worked was unbelievable. If that had happened to me, if I was Mercer right now, my controller would be flying out the window. Like, that is just unbelievably timed. I can't even explain. Like, if that had been a frame later, I think the teleport would have just hit it, stuffed it out. But I mean, even the armor just wasn't very much life. I don't know. That was just a ridiculous situation in a ridiculous set, though. You know, this is a really good set between these two players. Mercer's still looking really good today, but K-Top on top of his game, which is just kind of how he's been, you know, over the past even month that we haven't seen him in the Open Series, and certainly in the time before that, looking to repeat Open Series monthly finals.
I mean, across the whole way, Mercer was fighting back. It's just the nature of Jackie. She'll get in eventually, and K-Top mixing it up to a degree where Mercer feels comfortable to press and challenge, and then gets hit by something that just gives you another turn. And it's kind of hard to say what Mercer did wrong there, to be honest with you, because he did so much right. It's just there is no more aggressive character than Jackie, and that was just wow. That was insane. That was, because from full screen you would never expect it. Like, surely he must have read it, because you wouldn't fatal blow there on any other situation. And
I think maybe he
defeats
expected
Chumi.
Yeah, that was. Oh yeah. So unfortunately, we're not going to see any more Chumi in the bracket. Yeah, sorry. I just have to keep thinking back to that read. Like, I'm not done with that match in my head, because it must have been a read on the cancel. It had to have been. There's no way you expect that it's actually going to beat it out. But sorry, okay, I'm done with my rant about that match. That's over. There's a chance that we see the rematch again, though. But we are for sure going to see Mirko going up against Discarded now, down in the lower bracket to see who can take on Mercer. So a lot of familiar players in the top 4. A lot of the players that were maybe a little bit newer, not quite making it. So not a huge surprise, I would have to say. But, you know, the caliber of players that I didn't know about today, extremely good. I really hope that we see Chumi back. I hope we see all of them back, you know. I mean, the Katanas, of course, a character that is considered a little bit maybe on the lower side of the tier list, but great showing from both the Katana players too. So I've been excited watching them, but now I'm excited to see which of these like pros that we're used to seeing is going to come out on top today.
I got to give shouts to Chumi, making an absolute debut, a message to send, and showcasing a phenomenal Scorpion. I know he put his kind of achievements that he's most proud of as improving fast in MK11. Let me tell you, we'd love to see more of you in any tournaments that follow, because bring that Scorpion, I'm sure you'll do well and continue to improve and climb. It's what it's all about. Those kind of initial tournaments that you take part in. This is always everyone's humble beginnings. Who knows where you'll be in 3 years, next game, whatever the case is. But either way, Desarted versus Mirko. The people, again, narrowly favor out Desarted here. Could see Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. It's hard to call. And again, yeah, it is. So I really want to know if this is like a full-on just swap, or is it Disarted is just doing everything he can to get his Sub-Zero into form for whatever happens next for him? Is he just so confident with his Shang Tsung that I can always just keep Shang ready and then just get this Sub-Zero up to scratch? So if there's any matchups I hate as Shang, I can just pick this, you know? I want to know what's going on here.
Actually, I just got word that off stream they started used fully Shang Tsung. So the Shang is still there for sure. I just think that this is, I guess, a commitment to like continuing to level up this sub, which is really interesting. But I'm glad that the Shang's still there, right? There's no reason, I think, to throw away that Shang that you're like really known for, and certainly by no means a bad character. Definitely a strong character, to say the least. Ooh,
there we go.
Into the back three. Pretty cool.
Then put right back into the corner. Shoutouts to production for letting us know. Thank you very much. Really important information, I think, because it just gives us more of a story of what Disarted is doing right now in tournament. The Shang is clearly practiced and ready, but there are some matchups that I think just demand Sub-Zero instead. And in this case, with Mirko, who is so insanely reactionary. And hang on, wait a minute. This is Rising Ice into Fatal Blow. It's gonna do a lot of damage.
I'm just gonna assume it's gonna kill because it's Sub-Zero and his Fatal Blow always kills, but oh, it didn't. This is one of the few times where I was totally wrong on that. Oh, the grab. That looked like that just pulled him in, and that's huge.
I think he did a down one and the grab pulled him into it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
I think that's very much possible because he like moved really far forward. He definitely grabbed an extended hitbox. Nice flawless block. Do not test Mirko. Mirko's flawless blocks and Mirko's defense are just top tier.
I like that kind of advancing button too, where Mirko waited a little bit. So sometimes there are certain flawless blocks where you have to wait a couple of frames so that the animation continues to push forward, so that your up 2 doesn't whiff. 2-1-2. Give me the damage. Mirko now. Uh-oh. Escape failed. This is the ticket. This is the ticket to the rest of the game. Anything on block to chip out now. Oh no.
Oh, is that? No, that's not going to be it. It doesn't have 2 bars. The spear buff would have made it. Maybe it still doesn't matter. He's going to find another opening. And Mirko pretty strongly, I would say, controlling that game. I would like to honestly see maybe a switch back to that Shang Tsung. If Shang Tsung was all that he used off stream, that means that he did manage to defeat Chumi off stream with Shang Tsung in probably this matchup, I'd have to assume, right, against the Scorpion matchup. But maybe there's something that we don't know. Maybe he just feels less comfortable against Mirko in particular with the Shang Tsung. Just thinks maybe the Sub-Zero has a little bit more opportunity to mix. It's generally what you want to go to, which does make sense, you know. Usually it's so hard to open up Mirko even with characters that have good mix-ups. So when you go to a character that maybe doesn't mix up as much and just pressures, Mirko is just impossible to find that opening against.
Disarted has such a unique style with Shang Tsung as well. If you fight someone in a tournament that you wouldn't have played as much as Mirko, I think Shang gives you a pretty big advantage, because not only is Shang a character that still isn't very popular, but the morph meta, this element of Shang that a lot of people still don't use to the degree of Disarted, of Kratos, etc. I think that's a great tournament pick. But against Mirko, I think you just need to know he understands the inside and out of your gameplay. And this might be where Sub-Zero applies. Oh, you know my Shang, do you? Eat this overhead, perhaps.
Well, ideally, that is the goal, but so far, Mirko's just been in control, been blocking everything correctly, been not even giving him that much opportunity to mix. But here we go. A first big opening, which is, of course, going to be an Oki into another option. What's it going to be? Another overhead. So, hey, yeah, there we go. That's the plan. It's working. Ooh, weird trade. He went backwards with that. Very weird.
Low poke into slide. Buffalo out in here. But that's now going to be a round for Disarted and a chance to even things up.
Yeah, that was a very good round in the corner. You know, get him to the corner. So hard to get out. Ooh, weird pickup, but got the last hit, which is Oki, which is actually a huge deal there. All right, Rising Ice. Oh, the mid-screen crushing blow. Unique. No, not unique to the Rising Ice, but you get so much more damage off it from the Rising Ice.
One more slide amp, by the way, and this round is pretty much over. The second Disarted builds that bar, Mirko's going to have to be really careful.
If he even gets to that point, right? I mean, at this point, almost anything and it's over. All right, he gets the knockdown, though. He's got an opportunity to mix. Nice tech. That's going to make it so much harder. Drops the conversion. Oh, no. Fatal blow. One more hit. Mirko's got it now, too. Oh, no, didn't commit. Could have just committed to a little bit more right there. Went for the fatal blow to anti-air. It didn't work out, and now Chip is potential, but just gets caught instead. And this is not going to be as free as the first game made it seem like it might have been. Desarted controlling that whole corner, but it was just a few small, I'd say, mishaps in that end of that game that really turned things around. Like, that could have been Mirko's game in a couple of moments. If the fatal blow as an anti-air had come out just maybe a frame or two earlier, if the two had been like a 2-1 instead and confirmed into the fatal blow, or just really a bunch of different movement options. If any of that had gone right, probably would have been Mirko's round. Instead, though, Desarted going to tie things up and definitely get, I think, a little bit more momentum going into this set.
I'd agree with that. Because the attempt to anti as well, the fatal blow, wasn't a bad idea, but with fatal blow many patches ago having frame 8 activating the armor rather than 5. For those that don't know what that means, it basically just means that your armor comes out later. That was an early change made to fatal blows. The armors happened almost immediately back then, and they added a couple of extra frames there, which is significant enough that in those encounters, the anti-air won't work. I think that was back at the beginning of MK11, that would have anti-aired, but different age now, isn't it? But now one game apiece and running in with the same variations. That was very much a player versus player. I don't think variations have much to do with that.
Yeah,
nice jump there.
I mean, so much of it is going to be whether or not Desarted can just keep doing this. Just keep mixing. He goes for the unsafe risk again. But you can tell Desarted is really feeling it right now, right? The fact that you would make that double unsafe read in a row and then be correct on top of it, you know that he's just kind of in the zone. And, especially in this corner. I say it every time, but this is just one of the most terrifying spots to be in this entire game. Great jump out, though. The second time today that we've seen the unsafe creeping ice being jumped over.
Yeah, I think that last game, there's one thing that Mirko was thinking about. It was, man, I really did let him do that back 3 into creeping ice a lot and just not check it. So the fact that he did it straight away in this game, I can't say I'm surprised. Looks to punish, but too far away. Can't pick it up, though. Looks to down one, flawless block. Again, looking to punish, but doesn't amplify. I love that readiness for Desarted. This is such a sick matchup so far. The neutral jump.
Oh, that's so much chip, but that's unsafe. That's going to be it for sure.
Yeah, I did not expect it to just whiff.
Yeah, thought it was going to connect. So you normally see that into a teleport cancel to make it safe, but if the first hit whiffs, you are locked in there forever. One of the most punishable moves in the entire game. On whiff or on block, you're just really out of luck, and so really just a spacing issue right there. But yeah, I'm glad that this is such a back and forth good match between, of course, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, right? It's the classic.
Who will win? Question mark, question mark. Scorpion or Sub-Zero?
Do you think the Mortal Kombat 9 starting screen is down to crushing blow?
You know what? Foreshadowing that we didn't even realize. Hey, get back down here. Wake up. Uppercut. It really is 1992. What's going on here?
Oh no, just needs to get hit one more hit. It gets that weird conversion off the jump away again. Getting close to Chip, so close to Chip. That does a lot of hits. But the patience, the instant teleport to get over the slide. That was so sick. There's no crushing blow loaded, but now it's just going to be one hit away. The down 2, that really is it. That really is 1992, and that's going to be a great anti-air. Just started taking 2 games in a row.
Wins. Fatality. that really kind of like loud and snappy clapping sound effect that happens in the courtyard. Man, it's getting me nostalgic thinking about it. But great game there from Desarted. I think in that position, just kind of knowing that the jump was a likely option. The down 2 came out so early, like even right as Mirko left the ground, that uppercut happened. Like that's how certain Desarted was that was the choice. And go figure, it was. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, so much of Desarted's gameplay is based on confidence, right? Once you see him start getting more confident in a match, things just start going his way for sure. Like the moment I saw he did a double overhead into Rising Ice in a row, and it connected, and then you just know that he's like, yeah, whatever I'm going to do, it's going to work. I'm feeling it. I'm committing to my choices.
Hey.
And he does have the right reads.
The sheer commitment to it almost feels like he's just taken a page out of the Book of Foxy. The Foxy philosophy of Sub-Zero, where it's, they could block all your forward 2s in one game, but they'll hit in the next. It's just the philosophy of you dedicate to it and you take the moves that give you the max damage. That's what Rising Ice does. If you do Rising Ice into... forward 2 into Rising Ice, you get really good damage all the time, and then everything else just follows suit. Now, this is what Mirko's done in classic fashion, has changed to the Searing Rage, which is less about the death spin, I think, in this matchup, because the slide will punish it. He just wants to have more pressure up close.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? It's something that we see a lot from Mirko, and I feel like I have to go over this every single time, but it really is worth mentioning every single time that yeah, when you go up against these mix-up characters, they are having to commit, right? So sometimes they'll be right, they'll get a lot of damage, sometimes they'll be wrong, and you want to get a lot of damage. You want to get the absolute maximum damage, and that's exactly what you're going to get with Searing Rage. But speaking of a lot of damage, I mean, Rising Ice, my gosh, what a move.
Lets the whole string rock and gets that turn stealing down one. Very Mirko of him to do so. The delayed back 3, really trying to blow up that potential flawless block. Lovely neutral jump, but he knows that the break is going to come through. Staggers into grab. Nice opportunity now for Mirko. As now 1 round is going to bring us into a game 5. We are so close.
Round 2.
Yeah, this Searing Rage pick honestly usually works out for Mirko. I don't know why, for whatever reason, but even if like not a whole lot is used from the variation, whenever he switches to it, he just turns on like his clutch factor times a million. Let's have the buff though. Oh, look at this patience from both players. Both, you know, Desarted stop taking as many risks. It's a great conversion, but oh, big drop, gigantic drop. No defensive bar now in the corner. And of course, we know these openings are going to be doing so much damage. Searing Rage is basically maximum damage for Scorpion.
Wow, the respect there from Mirko. He does the whole 2-1 string and then waits for the button. No!
Oh, no.
Oh, is that the game or was that our spectator?
I certainly hope it was a spectator. That was a pretty sudden little disconnect right there, but we'll definitely figure out what's going on and we'll let you guys know.
We're back! Let's go! Let's go, Observer! Let's go! Production, you and your multiple consoles, we love you so much!
That's great to see, though. It's great to see that Mirko tied it up, you know? And I'm glad kind of that if we missed the moment, it was going to be that moment in particular. Because we know there's one more full
Production is so
game.
sick. Always coming. I mean, this has happened a few times now where the fact that we have multiple observers from production means that, I mean, it's why we have them. It is why. If one goes down, we can just swap to the other one and bam, we're not missing anything. And we haven't missed the fact that we are now going into a game 5 here between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I wonder if that's going to inspire a change maybe from Desarted or whether it is Sub-Zero again.
I mean, honestly, I think Sub-Zero is still the right pick, right? I mean, he was doing so well earlier, but he just stopped taking as many risks. And honestly, the risks were kind of paying off. But maybe it does have a lot to do with the fact that Searing Rage is, like I said, going to get all that much more damage, because even if you don't do anything else with the variation, having forward 3-2 adds a lot of damage onto the end of combos, or having 2-1 grab, technically, the one where he hits you with the spear and then kind of steps on you. Both of those just add a lot of damage as enders or leading into enders, so taking those risks, pretty scary, but I still think he needs to make the commitment. And I don't know, we'll see if he ends up doing it. I forgot he had Air Axe. He hasn't used Air Axe like a single time in this matchup. It's obviously very difficult to use.
Against Scorpion, I think it might just be a little bit tricky sometimes, but we'll see. There's now the immediate throw tech. Game 5, I can't say I'm surprised by this outcome. There's something about this Searing Rage, which always just seems to work out for Mirko. Oh, wow. Okay, we're sliding out here.
Yeah, no fear. Can't have any fear going into the final game. And here we go. Going to be a big conversion. Doesn't get the down 2, but oh, I like that. Takes some Oki instead. Going to get the grab. Another knockdown. Oh, can't jump out of that one. I do appreciate the attempt, but that is going to be real. Oh, blocks the weird, sort of unsafe overhead, but not a full punish. And now it's Mirko's turn. Oh, no. Has to break away immediately. Not the flawless block, I think, but didn't do anything with it, and that's going to be chipped, pretty much guaranteed, yeah. No bar for either player. Everybody just spent on everything they got, and now Desarted on match point.
Uh-oh, he had escape failed, and he keeps it. So right now we're saving it for that rainy day, looking for the 2-1 confirm. The match point does belong to Desarted for now, but for how long? There's the extra hit. 12% just like that. Man, that's such a good string, and the confirm as well.
Oh, back in the corner, good tech. All right, this is a forward throw, I think, right? Yeah,
Yep.
so he's still going to keep himself in the corner, but, I mean, he's got such a life lead here. But the problem is, I mean, this is Sub-Zero, you know, you want to get out. Again, though, just a little bit late on the breakaway, which is a really cool idea, I think, so they can't read it and guarantee get that down too. Oh, look at that, though. Look at that, 412 damage. Life is evened up. Just needs like 1 or 2 more solid hits because of that Rising Ice. Oh, this
He's
actually, this is probably it. Rising Ice off of Ascending 4. No, really need to get that lens. Another opportunity, drops it again, but the third time's the charm. He's going to find all the openings in a row. Mirko with that forward throw, putting himself in the corner, leaving himself in the corner, I should say, leads to what else but a free icy treat.
That was an ugly way to lose a set. The down 2 just completely missing, and then the combo drop kind of giving Mirko a lifeline, and then the next down 2 missing as well. I think that was obviously heat of the moment got to him, panic set in. That down 2 was absolutely a panic button. Obviously, it was the wrong thing to do, but that's what happens when the pressure gets to you sometimes. It's just a shame that it happened twice in a row when that combo drop was like a rare, almost never given saving grace. That was Mirko's opportunity to basically steal the game when he'd already lost, and he kind of gave it away with just another panic down 2. Now, that was a huge shame, but you know what? Desarted ain't going to complain about that. He'll happily take it and take the win, as he'll now fight Mercer in losers finals to see, are we going to get a run back between Desarted and K-Top for another monthly final in a row?
You know, I think this was actually pretty similar to how it went last time, you know? Desarted going down into the lower bracket pretty early on, and I actually think Desarted also defeated Mirko in that bracket. I'm going to need to look back and actually look at that bracket to see how close this was, because I think there's a lot of similarities here, but, you know, Desarted making this ridiculous run all the way through again, but he's going to have to play again the same matchup. For whatever reason, we got a lot of repeat matchups here today in the European bracket. Weird ones, you know, not the ones we expect. Like Scorpion Sub-Zero, Scorpion Katana, Scorpion Scorpion. Maybe this is like a Mortal Kombat 1 tournament. I'm not really sure what's going on here.
It's hard to say, honestly. We're just constantly seeing this kind of a returning story, I suppose. Desarted has this uncanny ability to just get sent to losers first round and then just bring it all the way back into grand finals. But there's always this kind of final boss lying in wait, and I do wonder, slash fear, I guess, that we might be seeing kind of a repeat of that, because it's going to be from one Scorpion to another. Different Scorpion, mind you, as it will be Stinblade, if it's Mercer. But if Desarted can bring this, what will the adaptations be? Is it going to be just last month again, Chef?
It very well could be, but the question is, yeah, like you said, like how will it be different against Mercer, right? So Mirko, we do know, is extremely good at defense, and that has been kind of his biggest strength, and in a weird way, one of his biggest weaknesses. We've seen him struggle a little bit against the more mix-up heavy characters in the game, like, for example, like Serious Hitman's Terminator or this Sub-Zero, right, for example, where your defense can only be so good, because at a point, defense is no longer reactions, and it's about making the right reads. And when your opponent forces those reads on you more than enough times, sometimes somebody whose defense is like that good, they're expecting like, yeah, I can be patient, I can wait for them to make a mistake, but you can't necessarily. And Mercer might not have that exact same problem. Mercer might be a little bit more active, and we'll see if that really changes things up all that much. But honestly, I think having that Searing Rage available was a huge deal in that last matchup, and I think it could be a big one in this matchup too, because the teleport cancels, they're okay, but you really don't want to give up that defensive bar, right? Against Sub-Zero, that's using the Rising Ice, like having that defensive bar is gigantic. You do not want to take the 400 damage combos. You want to live, and you want to do extra damage, so I'm curious if we'll see that, or maybe a different character from Mercy. He's got that option too.
And I'm looking at his different characters, and I'm kind of like, against Sub-Zero, I'm not sure. Like, you know, there could be the Cetrion coming out, but Scorpion, I think, still gives him some good buttons and good options and abilities to punish, really. You know, if you're playing Cetrion versus Sub-Zero, he's going to have that level of unpredictability in the neutral alone. I think being able to punish certain things with Slide, we have seen that a lot in tournament where Sub has got some pretty good options against the character. So my gut instinct tells me that it's going to be Scorpion versus Sub-Zero again. It's just going to be a different story. because Sinblade, the existence of it does change the matchup a lot. The second someone goes in with the burning spear buff, you kind of know that the match is going to be a lot more grab heavy, and that's just not really how Mercer plays. He goes for grabs, but not to the kind of same extent as those that relish having a higher damage grab in the first place.
Yeah, and also Sinblade, it's a weird thing that we've seen before, but oftentimes you can jump away from forward two from sub. I seem to recall a moment where we watched a short hop go over subs forward two, which was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Yeah, I still haven't gone and actually labbed that. I forgot to, but neutral jumping a lot because you have that Sinblade can kind of get rid of the option of the low and the overhead weird way if you do manage to find just enough time to escape, which there's a little bit more leeway than it seems like. So Sinblade might be a good answer here. We'll see. Plus, Sinblade itself. I was talking about how Searing Rage does add a lot of damage to the combos, but Searing Blade does, Sinblade, Searing Blade. Ooh,
Searing Blade, almost.
I mean, that seems like what the name of the actual variation would be. But Sinblade does add a lot of damage on the combos also, is what I was getting at. So, we'll see. Again, one of those, let's just find out.
And we start another match off with an absolute Rago slide. Just fearless. But
well, that's a statement. It's a statement. Makes you scared immediately. You have to be ready for that slide the rest of the match.
The respect again, but pressing the button. Nice job with that back three, chasing it down. Speaking of which, another chase down here from Desarted, staggering that back three on its own to make it just more unpredictable. Letting the whole thing rock, wanting to squeeze out a button perhaps, as Mercer does get it down one on the check. Oh, short hop. Okay, wait a minute.
Ooh. Oh, but yeah, again, Chip. We see him go a lot safer at the end of these. He never really tries to close things out with a mix, Desarted that is. He really tries to, chip you to death or make you find just, a mistake, find you squirming away. I really like that style. Uh-oh, big punish. Oh, standing four, ready for the standing four punish. Beautiful.
Wow, we just hit that raw slide, and it does give him the life lead. Arguably the pressure as well. Pressure is on. Looks for the trip guard, chases it down, and there's no teleport. It completely misses, and that will make the Amplify so unsafe. Another crushing blow, spent two.
Desarted. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Desarted always gets maximum damage. It feels like no other Sub-Zero really deals this much damage, but, oh, speaking of damage, no defensive bar. Gonna go for the full cash out here. This is a lot of damage.
This has been a cinematic round.
It has been. And it's perfect for Sub-Zero versus Scorpion, right?
Oh, yeah, this is a trailer. Oh.
Ooh. Great comeback. Yeah, using all those resources, but obviously worth it. Obviously, if there was the loss there, that would have been just over. So you really want to survive. The big question is now, how do you do that with less resources in this round? Blocking another slide is a good way to do it. And the Sin Blade. People just constantly try to squirm right there, and I'm not sure why.
Now that's where the crushing blow gets spent. Give it to me. And that's going to bring him into Fatal Blow territory. So might have arguably done Desarted a favor.
Well, knowing Sub-Zero, it's a very good chance, I would say. Oh, no full conversion off the 2-1. That would have been a huge flawless block, but now no defensive bar. One hit, and this is almost it. This is so close to death. This is so close. We're probably going to see... Oh, actually, he's going for the fatal blow.
Now again, that does 46. It does 46% this combo.
I don't think the 1-2-4 crushing blow had been used yet, so maybe that would have been a little bit better of an option, but... regardless, at this point, one hit's going to do it, and you do get Oki off that sub-fatal blow, so goes for the 1-2-4, not in the crushing blow capacity, but just as a normal hit, and Desarted, looking so good. It's funny, because the start of the day, Desarted didn't really look all that strong, and we were like, huh, I wonder what happened, it wasn't exactly the grand finalist that we saw from last month, but now it's back to the one that we're used to seeing, and it looks like he's only gotten better. Like I said, it feels like he just gets so much damage off of everything.
And in that situation, you kind of look at the variation he's brought forward as well, where, look, he will cash out into Fatal Blow because of the giant knockdown attached and the pressure that it puts on Wake Up. And he had one bar left. Even if that Fatal Blow didn't work out or whatever it is, and, bam, we have to make a play, he has meter. Whether it's going to go into Creeping Ice, whether it's going to go into a Rising Ice, that I don't even think he needed because he only had a little bit of life left to go. This variation hits so hard and gives you such reward for that mix that it's no wonder that this is the variation that Desarted has ultimately kind of settled on when it comes to sub. But Mercer was so close. Like, that was very nearly a 1-0, man. But so many crushing blows put to good use. If you have practical crushing blows, it just makes you so much more devastating, I think.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of crushing blows. That was a whole lot. But I am interested. This is a little bit nitpicky, you know, as we go into the second game. You know, we're possibly in for a long set. But I'm curious if there's anything that you could replace the air axe with for this matchup. Obviously, I understand the idea of not using it for this matchup because one teleport on reaction and you're just dead. Good breakaway. But I wonder if there's any other 1-bars. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Ooh, the meaty! Completely crushing it, Mercer. Using the breakaway, but so much of the damage was already done. This is going to be advantage. Desarted, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the, again, the issue of Rising Ice. If you break away quickly, then that down 2 is guaranteed. And you're basically taking a full combo anyway. Oh, there we go. Good opening. Has another bar for another conversion. Oh, just backs up. Tries to bait something. Fiddle available, not going to matter. Oh, I like it. Oh, no. No punish on the Scorpion Fiddle Blow. It has a lot of pushback. There's no Crushing Blow loaded. So now this is just down to baby chip. Oh, the slide away from the teleport. The classic 2 moves. And then a slide back is all it takes. Wow, that was a really weird interaction. I appreciate that they both went for the gigantic risk at literally the exact same moment.
But that whiff slide, allowing him to whiff punish with another slide, I guess. And that will be the Deadpool on the tournament stage so far. Oh,
as we say in the business, we take those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nice. That looked like a buffer to me from max range.
Yeah, I think that was preemptive, just making the right read right there. Well, not the read, but the I don't know what to call it. OS in a way.
Wow.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Oh, no. I spoke too soon. Went for the standing 4, and this would be a heartbreaker. This would be a heartbreaker, but it's possible. No, the forward 2, a little bit too early, not expecting the delayed wake up, allowing him to stand up. Maybe a 4-2-4 right there would have been a crushing blow. That would have been a really funny way to deal with that. But overall, that was a good one not to lose because that would have been a true mental damage game.
I'm loving that down 4 so far. Just trying to create that kind of brick wall of defense, perhaps, to stop Sub-Zero from just pushing forward. Breakaway's been forced, but again, no confirm. That's a full combo that Mercer will happily take. Unfortunately, drops it! That is the risk of the Sin Blade combos. If you fail them, they fail you.
Oh no, not able to get a full conversion. A lot of weird little anti-air hits kind of coming from both these players. Oh no, there's defensive bar, but didn't break away, but now you're dead. Why? What? I mean, this is, oh, never mind. I was wrong.
No, it missed. Oh, that's unlucky. It missed. Are you kidding me? What was that round? The fatal blow just completely missing the breakaway. I hope we can get a replay of that so we can watch it in slow motion. I need to see what happened there.
That was, it had to be like a pixel away from hitting that breakaway. I thought it looked like it hit, but it was just barely not. But I agree. I would love to see that one in slow-mo. Yeah, that is rough. You see, I mean, let's just even start like a few moments before that, right? Where I was like, why would you not break away? That's ridiculous. But he knew that he was going to live with like 1 health and then make the correct call. Oh, we actually
he didn't have meter. Well, he didn't have meter. You say you've got them swapped.
Oh, I did have it swapped. Yep. Oh, look at that. That looked like it hit. That looked like it hit.
It did bloody hit. It clearly hit. It must have literally just been on the absolute max range of it, right? So clearly the hitbox of it does not extend beyond the model, which is a common thing that you can sometimes see in these 3D games, but that's a tragic end for Desarted in that game because that would have won him the game. He made the perfect goal out. One of those things.
That's rough. But thank you so much to production for giving us that super instant replay. The power of technology. We truly esports now.
Multiple observers, the ability to instant replay in slow motion. I like it.
And tons of good games, the most important part, which we'll continue with. And we've seen a lot of Game 5s. You know, this has been a pretty long day so far for very good reason. All these players really earning their spots and having to earn them. And it looks like we might go to another.
Oh, that whiff punish on down 4. Are you kidding me? Slide footsies.
Slidesies. Oh, there we go. Blocking the Oki Sin Blade this time. Starting to realize, yeah, if he's in the air like that, I just gotta respect it.
Oh, that's the forbidden. That's the first time we've seen one of those today.
Yeah, just went for it. I almost feel like maybe spending your meter would have been equally as... Oh, well, actually, there was no offensive bar, so you kind of had to do that. I thought there was a little bit more than there was. I'm not very good at looking at these meters, so yeah, great call, but it's almost undoubted that if you're going to play against the Sub-Zero, at some point you're getting hit by forward 2 in a Fatal Blow.
And if you try and fight it, you'll get hit by everything else.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of overheads, another. And that's going to be 40%. 41%. Excuse me. And the push forward now. There's no flawless block, but the throw tech so important to keep the pressure. Another tech! And I think that down 2 was on a perfect read of a 1-1 perhaps from Scorpion there.
Ooh, just backing up. Playing very safe here. Ooh, I like that. Just keep going 4-3-4. Play footsies all the way from there. But this is still pretty scary, you know. One good read.
Wow, the down 1 whipped. Air-to-air teleport, though. Breakaway force now. Any hit will do it for Desarted. Anything into freeze, and that's going to be a GG for this next game.
But anything in the Fatal Blow, and it could be the other way for Mercer.
No flawless block.
Oh, yeah. Tried right there. Tried a few different things. Neither of them worked out. And so we are going to see 2-1 again for Desarted. He's looking strong, you know. He's looking confident today. It's weird. It's just another one of those players, a lot like I think we see from K-Top, who just, when they go to lower bracket, they're just that much stronger. And it seems like that wasn't really the case back when Desarted was using Shang Tsung. Obviously, he was extremely successful at the Shang Tsung, but it seemed like it was kind of like this mix of like, oh yeah, like I could just beat people, I'll get through the upper bracket, it doesn't really matter. But for some reason, this sub is just a menace down there, you know? You just do not want to be stuck down there with him.
Sub-Zero.
Now Mercer going in with the same one. Same variation all the way. So it's going to be do or die with the Sin Blade, which he's done a great job with today. I think he's only dropped one of the combos and he's been punished for it. So you can see obviously the risk. Very few combos in this game, I think, by themselves without breakaway that if you mess up, leave you punishable. And that is always scary. Like when you have a combo that if you drop it, you take damage. It makes the combo a bit harder to execute because there's the added stress. Let alone we're in a tournament, let alone it's losers finals, top 3. $100 is the difference between each placement here in the top 4. Dropping a combo and then dying for it doesn't feel very good, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. Feels whatever the opposite of really good is.
Really bad.
Probably really bad. Yep, exactly. But yeah, definitely a thing that we see. And that's why some characters, it's execution, even if they have hard execution, if they drop it, they're still going to be okay. They're still going to get good Oki, and they're still probably going to get a lot of damage. So sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it matters a lot. Oh, look at this. Trying to go for overheads of his own, not working. Eventually getting clipped kind of by Desarted's overhead.
Wow, blocking the jump in and then just getting that down 1. And that's a lot of confidence and the disrespect to show. Now restand. I think so confident there was an overhead on the way. Nice little forward to finish things as now Mercer needs 1 round. We're going into another game 5. I've seen plenty of them today.
Yeah, again, not surprising if we see a bunch more, you know. We've only got this match and then 1 more, but there could be a reset, which did happen last week. We did see, of course, we saw actually a pretty consistent win from Desarted in that grand finals, and then when it got down to K-Top going to the lower bracket, he just dominated. So we'll see what happens. If that ends up being the case, Mercer, of course, could still make this by a large margin.
Oh no, confirm. Definitely looked for it. However, there's the pickup. Take the damage, even more so. The important thing is the slide. I don't think he wants the corner pressure. He just wants to be able to get that crushing blow. If he can win the round, he's going to have quite the trump card in the final round. He has to win this round to do it.
Oh,
there it is.
Oh, no. There's bar breakaway. You got to break away. But look at that. 33% even into the breakaway. And
here's
then
the thing,
you
Chef.
still have to deal with the mix-up.
Here's the thing now. He's on match point, and by using that breakaway, he actually did Desarted a favor. Because Desarted now has slide KB, 1-4 KB, down 2 KB. Fatal blow is still here. Like, this is his round. Like, he has everything in place.
Oh, that's got to be 124 KB, right? Yeah, the double into it. 471 damage. Look at that. His health is just gone, and he's still in the corner, still having to deal with these mix-ups. This is so rough. All right, here we go. An opportunity to turn things around. Not an easy one, but at the very least, you get out of the corner, which is huge against Rising Ice Sub-Zero.
Uh-oh. There's a throw. Plus frames incoming. The down one. So cheeky.
Oh, that had to have been a typical false block, but again, sometimes it's just a happy accident. We take those, and now just needs chip goes for the slide. That might not have even been the chip kill. That was a huge risk, but was so confident, and for good reason, as it did work. The set ended in the same way it began, right? A random slide into another random slide. And by random, I mean, obviously, the risk was known, but the raw neutral slide, I should say. And again, the menace, like I said, the menace of the lower bracket is just going to keep on running through these Scorpion players.
I think like calculated slide and random slide, what you'd call that entirely depends on whether you did it or got hit by it. And that's basically what would have decided that. As now it's going to be Desarted moving on, and we are very much getting a straight up rerun of last month's grand finals now with K-Top. It's going to be Desarted, two players that have played each other so much, but a month is a long time to refine one pick, and this Sub-Zero is looking better than ever.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, managing to get all the way back from, again, losing in round one, which I think happened last month, too. So this is a very, very similar bracket to what we saw for whatever reason. But it's pretty neat to see that, you know, despite the fact that about half the bracket was different, and there's been an entire month in between the tournaments that we've seen here, we are going to end up seeing really a very similar repeat. It just goes to show that despite having this, like, very, I almost want to say risky play style, because you kind of have to with Sub-Zero, this is not a fluke. You know, it was not a fluke at all that Desarted managed to make it to grand finals last month, because he did the exact same way again, having to fight through so many top players, including, I think, Mirko both times. So, yeah, great showing so far. The question now, of course, is will it be a full repeat where we're going to see a reset into a win from K-Top, you know, making the comeback, or will K-Top just win things straight out, or will Desarted finally come out on top with that Sub-Zero? I don't think he has actually won yet with the Sub-Zero. Maybe there's been a tournament win. Hard to say.
It's two players that are incredibly evenly matched. You can even see the games they've played. And this is all this year alone, but in Open Series, 214 to 213. These are, I think, the two most regular appearing players of this year. I think Mirko would be an exception too, because he's done phenomenally well, but yeah, we're looking at, I think, the cream of the crop when it comes to EU Open Series. Fantastic stuff. And are we going to see a reset? Are we going to see a sweep? It's impossible to tell. I think K-Top always brings forward that crazy rush down, but now he's having to deal with the Sub-Zero. And a Sub-Zero that's looking a lot better than it looked this time last month when they clashed in the grand finals before. Now, I'm curious, actually. Who does the people back? My gut instinct tells me there's going to be a lot of Desarted supporters.
Yeah, I think there's got to be, right? If you see him make that full run, like, despite the fact that K-Top had a really dominant run into the upper bracket side of grand finals, just the lower bracket run, seeing somebody pull through that tie exactly 50%. Wow. Yes. I mean, I think that's probably more accurate, right? I was thinking that a few more people were going to vote just because we just seen that run, but this is definitely how I would vote it too. Even though the fact that having that upper bracket advantage is always going to be huge. It gives you that extra pillow of time to kind of get your opponent's like game plan kind of down. Even if you end up losing, like, you can just kind of choose how much information you want to give them in that first set. And if you can just win the first set, then sure, you go for it. But more important than that almost is just the knowledge. So K-Top having that advantage, pretty big deal. Almost doesn't matter though, which is something that we saw last time actually. Being in lower bracket gives them the buff almost.
And on that note, that's pretty much exactly what happened. So when they clashed in the last month's finals, it was Desarted 3-1 to cause a reset, but then after the reset, K-Top clean sweep 3-0. So Desarted was the dominant player before the reset happened, but again, really going back into what K-Top says, where that loser's bracket kind of, it motivates him, it pumps him, it makes him go all out. We saw that with a 3-0 after the reset, but That is merely what happened 28 days ago. Now it's a new month, a new tournament, and a new chance for things to be completely different. Let's jump into grand finals now. Sub-Zero and Jackie. We're going to get started, Chef.
Yeah, let's see who's the winner of the April Grand Finals Part 2, I would say, right? We get like the immediate exact run back. I'm not even sure an actual month has passed since then. Maybe we're just in the same day. We're in like a Groundhog Day situation. No, but for real, K-Top would be a three-peat on the monthly finals winners kind of scoreboard if he manages to win this. And that would be very, very impressive.
Just in time for the meter to come back, right as he lands that combo. The unsafe ice ball decided, not hit confirming that one, will pay the price. Dash in overhead, and that's a counter hit. Optimal, let's go. And there's no point breaking. That down two's happening whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I love how ready, actually, honestly, a lot of these players today have been to punish the Rising Ice. We saw like the standing 4 from Mercer. We've seen the 3-3-4, which you don't really get a lot of opportunities to actually punish things with that. But, you know, when you're in matchups like this, it's huge to be able to get that extra amount of damage.
And he crossed up.
That was a strong anti-air, building up that crushing ball a little bit more. And we do see the Ice Axe. We haven't seen that all day because of the matchups, but it's still there.
A nice flawless block, but still getting completely overwhelmed by that. Flawless blocks the leap and then still doesn't get the button out in time. Flawless blocking jump ins often does mess up the plus frames of it. But I think that it started kind of got a little bit fumbled in his own button presses. As now K-Top gets that first game, and just like that, you know, we've had loads of game 5s, Chef. It's been a long day because of the close games. 2 more of those and we're done, actually. So this could be a swift grand finals.
Yeah, that was, I mean, Desarted has to be carrying a lot of momentum, and we do see that a lot when people do make huge lower bracket runs going into the grand finals, where it's like, yeah, I just beat 5 top players in a row, and I'm feeling myself right now. So a lot of times it's like, okay, they start off really strong, the other players had to wait a little bit longer, the one who's made it into the upper bracket side of grand finals, and they're like, gotta warm up a little bit, but K-Top just looked like, he just went in there just like immediately, just like no stopping from his previous match. Like he was just 100% ready. And it looked like he was almost the one who had more momentum because that was super quick. Like that was, I think, one of the fastest games that we've seen today, which is pretty surprising. I mean, it's still a possibility that it's hard to pull this back, but if K-Top keeps playing like this, we are not going to have a repeat at all of last month.
Oh, a lovely whiff punish to start things off. And now we spend a bar just to extend, push near the corner. More importantly, just keep that pressure on going. But now I think a lot of respect being shown. Delicious flawless block. Let's go.
Ooh, I like these neutral jumps. That's a pretty unique thing that you don't see from a lot of Sub-Zeros, but they started really taking advantage of how good that jump attack is. The Sub-Zero jump punch is super strong. Uh-oh, in the corner here. This can happen both sides of this matchup. If you get cornered by either of these characters, you are in for a nightmare, but nice. Desarted manages to steal the corner back and then get the kill. So that's a really big deal going into this next round. Jackie is very vulnerable here, especially with less life, and look at this. Look at this. Oh, the wake-up punish. Super good knowledge check right there. Knows that you get the full punish. And now things are evened up. Plus, now K-Top's the one with the corner advantage.
Lovely. I'm about to say anti-air interrupt, but unfortunately drops the combo. Another slide out of nowhere. But that creates a wonderful position, and it's going to be mix, and a game on the side of Desarted. Now, the first game was all K-Top. That second game, all Desarted. It's going to be whoever gets that offense on deck.
Yeah, I think one thing's for sure. There's only one thing that we know about this matchup, and that's that even if it goes to game 5, reset game 5, it'll still probably be a really fast set, right? Just based on what we've seen from these first 2 rounds, or these first 2 games, because those were both like instantaneous. And you know, we see a lot of defense from a lot of the other characters today. Just looking at who else we had, like Sindel, pretty defensive character. Scorpion, very defensive character, plays patient, tries to get you whiff punish. Katana, same thing. But when it comes down to the end, when you have these 2 hyper-aggressive characters against each other, you know, Jackie against Sub, it's like, oh, finally, we don't have to worry about getting in on zoning. We don't have to worry about somebody just sitting there and blocking. We're just going to brawl, you know, we're just going to swing, and whoever makes the right reads, that's who's going to win, which is, I think, the game plan that both these players want to play. And I think they both are kind of an understanding that that's how it's going to go.
Well, exact same matchup so far. And it's like you said, I think it is going to be one of those kind of quick exchanges where it's going to be a rather overwhelming set of games. Who gets their offense started? But in this case, Goro's Lair. I love this stage. Got those Oni in the background.
Well, deceased.
Well, you know, they were Oni. Now
Yeah,
dead
yeah.
Oni.
Stomp by a breeze.
All right, in the corner here. Ooh, the zoning. Interesting choice.
Yo, what an anti-air. I've never seen that before.
Almost got the crushing blow off it, which is would have been really cool to see, but didn't quite get it. However, yeah, you got to find a way out of this corner. Easier said than done. Ooh, oh no, really wanted to get the freeze right there. Would have been able to switch sides at the very minimum, but K-Top manages to keep the corner. A little bit of space built out. Desart's at least at like back 2 range if there is a jump in, which there was, and he could have done, but not easy to react to, not the fastest normal.
Ooh, the mix begins. Doesn't quite believe in it though. You know, trying to keep that safety. I think sometimes it can be a detriment taking creeping ice. If you want to dedicate to the mix-up and then you creeping iced, all you've done really is just left damage on the table that could have been a full combo. But obviously, really depends on what kind of Sub-Zero player you are. The raw jump in now gives K-Top a knockdown, saving that bar. Gonna need it for the pressure that follows. Actually saving even more meter in this case. Oh, landing on the other side. That's unfortunate. Nice anti-air.
Yeah, maybe trying to bait a Baker right there. That's obviously going to be a lot of damage. And again, Sub-Zero getting that Oki off of the Fatal Blow, which is so rare to even see because usually they just die from it. Oh, the back roll gets caught, and that is a defensive bar gone that K-Top could have really used. So yeah, this might actually go into another game 5. It certainly didn't look that way for the first 2 games, but the way they're going back and forth, maybe. Oh, it just gets over it. That was cool. Stalls in the air, almost like a katana, like float.
These throw techs from Desarted have been absolutely game-changing, but there's the block. I think expecting maybe a rising ice there, but just getting opened up all the same. Desarted. This is damage, and the breakaway is used. We don't want to deal with that crushing blow, but now it might not be our choice to make. Instant jump in. Breaker.
Oh, that's really good. Gets the Oki, but yeah, you just cannot throw Desarted. What is this? He's like, I'm going to throw you. You don't throw me. All right, no wake up fatal blow right there. I would have been very scared of that as an option. But that's going to be it. 1 game closer to the reset. And I think this is actually how it went last time. I think it was that K-Top won the first game and then Desarted won 3 afterwards. I could be wrong, but I do seem to recall that. And maybe we might be going to the exact repeat of last month. How weird that we get to see things like repeat like that, even with such a time difference in between them.
I just realized that Sub-Zero win pose is the big forward 2. He gets out an even bigger forward 2 in that win pose. It is bigger because he's got the 2 axes normally, but that one's like twice the size. Anyway, with it being 3-1 last time they fought in the reset, it is, like you said, it's looking to completely kind of mirror itself at this stage. But the one thing that has just...
Ooh.
The one thing that has changed has been the throw techs, but this...
This is like
then.
Almost an insult, right? This is almost like I don't even know what to call it. Like, this is like some sort of like mind game here, because this is the variation that Desarted uses. This is K-Top using Desarted's variation against himself as he's switched over to Sub-Zero. This is very weird. I'm interested to see if this works out. This would be huge if he even wins 1 single game here, starting off with lift. Desarted's like, nope, that's my trick. You don't get to use it.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning is behind this Shang Tsung. I mean, I hope we get to see something, but this could just be a last-ditch effort, right? That element of unpredictability we trade in the air, right, as we swap over. Oh, this has not been a clean game from K-Top so far. This has not been fantastic. Far from it. Now the pressure. They're going to wake up uppercut, and this is going to be a reset point. I think we're going to repeat ourselves here. The way things are going, Chef, this has to be a reset.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's more to the Shang Tsung. It definitely all went bad from the start of that first round, so it's kind of hard to tell, as Sub-Zero can just kind of run anybody over if that happens. But yeah, this is certainly not looking like I understand the pick fully. Ooh, wasn't able to get the punish. All right, corner combo. Nice meterless little conversion right here. Oh, but spends the bar, as I say that.
Plus frames. Lets the whole thing go. K-Top actually getting some pressure of his own. Lets the whole thing go, though. That's going to be a big whiff punish. A lot of recovery on that back 3 string. And now, ooh, double bar. That's going to be KB. We wouldn't be spending the resources without it.
Oh, yeah. Wants to just close out this reset. Wants it for sure. Oh, puts himself in the corner. Corner's really scary, again, for both these characters. Both these players really kind of corner players. Oh,
That's
the
it.
wall lift. Fatal blow. That's it. Oh, he broke away. That's
Kind
a
of
weird
ironic.
choice.
Desarted normally drops that combo. That's the funny thing. K-Top just goes, no, I've got this. But
That's actually really big. I mean, that's, again, obviously keeping it from resetting, but also spending all that meter gone. And I feel like that's kind of like a boost in morale, right? For a character that wasn't working super great there. Oh, that's a punish. Oh, it's not a punish.
lets the whole thing go
sweep.
once again. The 1-1. Here we go. A little bit of healing. K-Top. Perhaps we doubted this Shang Tsung. Maybe it was a mistake.
Well, it's definitely looking like practice, right? Like, it's definitely, there's a game plan in play. He hasn't dropped a single combo. So there's certainly something to it. I don't know if it's as tournament ready as maybe his other characters, but so far it's looking pretty good. Goes for a lot of risky lifts, I'll give you that much.
I love the patience, though, from Desarted. He knows his own character. Shang Tsung's jump 3. It's so risky trying to anti-air it sometimes. But now, KB, K-Top, can he do this? This is reset point still for Desarted. Wait.
All right, break away, but that means one more opening plus frames. Oh, blocks the overhead, and that might be it. Yeah, it's gonna catch him with the air-to-air. This is gonna be the reset. Honestly, though, the Shang not working out as badly as I thought it might. I thought maybe it was a little bit of like a joke pick, kind of like against somebody with their own exact variation, but that was one more opening away. Had he just waited on the ground right there, maybe gone for a down 2 into lift, or maybe even just gone for like a lift anti-air, that could have been the whole thing. That could have taken it to a game 5 pre-reset, but that does mean that we're going back down to 0-0, both players on even footing. And that means we're starting the set over essentially, but that does mean that both players can choose new characters as it's technically a new set. So we're not going to see anybody locked into anything. I do assume that we're going to see the Sub-Zero still picked. And I guess technically you would have been able to change anyway. But yeah, back to Jackie. The Shang was a fun little concept, but I still think Jackie's the best pick.
It was a wild card pick. If he only has a couple of games to win and he had the winner side advantage, it could have been this one thing that might have overwhelmed Desarted or caught him off guard. It clearly didn't, actually. He played the matchup phenomenally well. And one of the big things, actually, was knowing that K-Top's going to jump and just being content to sit and hold the jump kick. Just block it, not get beat. He's doing a jump kick. There's going to be Ermac lift kind of buffered on top of that and didn't give himself up for any free damage. That was just a smart way of playing, keeping it nice and disciplined as we went into a reset. And now, starting our final set of this tournament. But this Sub-Zero has been such a good choice so far. Really impressed. I told you, a month is a long time for a character grind to come through.
And I mean, though, again, we talked about this earlier a lot. The last time that we saw this happen, exactly 3-1 reset, and then it was a very dominant 3-0 from K-Top. Though it's not really looking to go that way again this time. Desarted holding on to all of his momentum. K-Top not looking super confident, not getting his losers bracket boost quite yet, but there's still time.
A big part of this has just been iron defense from Desarted. We are seeing characters that K-Top likes to play that are incredibly offense-based, all about getting that one hit and making it count. But I've got to say, K-Top, he's been spending all of his resources on these sequences, on these setups, and Desarted's blocking every single piece of it.
Yeah, his patience has been so good in this set, and I mean, I think that's a big deal. Is that that's one thing that I've noticed today. Like I said, last month it seemed like he was just very much all out, no matter what. But I think he's starting to find his moments where patience is really paying off, and just playing defense and switching between those styles can be very jarring to fight against. And I do think that we're seeing that a lot more. Wow, already had that built up. I thought I needed one more, but he knew.
Oh. Down 1 just to try and steal a turn off that grab. Lovely anti-air. This just continues. The active frames of Sub standing too. So good. Instant jump, though. That's a call out. Wait a minute. K-Top.
That was a weird jump kick. I'm not sure that was intentional. Yeah, got a damage over time on the ground. Yeah, I think there might have been a few missed inputs for that a little bit earlier because that was kind of a weird ending, and that was a pretty easy way to kind of guarantee yourself that win there. Sub-Zero doesn't really have anything that he can do that's not going to put him in that range. Like, he can throw the air axes, I guess, but that's a huge risk. So you kind of just are able to do that. Scorpion earlier in the day was not the same situation. He could spear you out.
Another flawless block, but in this case, ooh, bit of an awkward exchange, actually. Very important game to take. If it's going to be more games back-to-back, Desarted just riding absolute momentum. The down one. Hang on a minute, a grab to open up. We just can't ignore that Desarted has taken so many of these games back-to-back, very much a repeat of last month, and if he wins this game, that is going to be like 4 straight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, K-Top's making the comeback here. I mean, does manage to barely steal back the life lead with this, but if he does win this, also he's showing that it's not going to be a literal repeat of last month. He's not stuck in a time loop like the rest of us. Oh, not in fatal blow range, barely, which is really lucky for K-Top. Oh, but maybe not lucky enough, so there will not be an exact repeat of the April monthly finals. At the very minimum, we got a game on board post-reset for Desarted. And this sub is just looking scarier and scarier and scarier as time goes on, and it's continuing to look that way. So K-Top, I think K-Top might be feeling the pressure a little bit more after this. You know, I think K-Top, especially going into the upper rack finals, is like, yeah, I won this last month. You know, I've got a little bit of time to mess around, pick Shang Tsung, see if it works. But now it's like, okay, hold on. I'm actually down in the set. Like, for once, like, I'm the second place, you know, in the tournament as far as placements. Maybe this is time to get serious. And we don't know. That's when K-Top gets really serious. But, ooh, going to the Cabal.
It is one of his more popular picks right now. He looks at the characters that fit his style, and especially characters that are incredibly dominant right now. Cabal's gonna be one of them. Air Dash Cabal being one of the main picks these days. And now we'll see if it's enough, because it's a matchup that Desarted will be more than familiar with. The thing about these popular characters is they're popular. You're going to know the matchup. So unless K-Top can absolutely just seal things up here and bring that A game, he's going to be in trouble, because Desarted is playing so phenomenally well right now.
Oh, but starting off with a good opening. Oh, that's a scary place to break away. I mean, how many times do you see 1-1-1 into the hook grab, or the hook slam, I should say. The armor breaks. Kind of the bait, getting people to break away, but, you know, gets another opening, and K-Top immediately looking up to speed with his character, pun intended. Oh, big whiff punish, that's a crushing blow. Almost maybe didn't need that. There was so much potential damage right there, but wanted to make sure that he got the kill 100%. Does pull him out of the corner, though. Corner is very strong for Cabal. Lets him get a lot of meterless conversions.
Ooh. If there was an option select input there, I think the fact that they just had really awkward angle there, smack bang in the middle, might have messed with it. There's the slam. And we spend it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think he just really wants to take that life lead by quite a bit. But, wow, this pick is looking really good. I mean, we've seen him use this Cabal before, but he concentrated so much more on this character. And look at this. Is that it? No bar. Bar would have been it, but, okay. Opportunity.
This is Sub-Zero.
Just Vortex,
Robbery
just
incoming.
Vortex. Oh, okay. This is still technically an Oki situation, right? I don't know how much defense bar there is. I don't know how many ways this mix-up goes. A lot of defense bar. Oh, no, just picks him up. I don't know what he did. Oh, no, has to break away there. Another mix-up. Blocks it finally. No punish, but the chip damage means it doesn't matter. Wow, that was almost the largest robbery of Open Series history. But finally guessing correctly. And the 50-50s can only go so far.
You almost missed the punish, though. That's where I got nervous.
Yeah,
the
me
second
too.
the one whiffed, like, you almost expected to see Desarted just mash down 2 for his life because he couldn't afford to sit and block at the end. But yeah, 1-1. So this change, we've known that Desarted has picked other characters, and is Cabal one of the matchups he takes Shang Tsung for because of the Ermac lift. That is really good at creating that space and kind of stopping those airborne advances sometimes, because the lift just creates a giant box. And I think it's actually, that's it.
It looks like that is the correct call, and it's so for the first time in a long time now, in months, we're going to see the started go back to the Shang Tsung. As we've said earlier, we do know that he picked Shang Tsung off stream. It's just that we didn't get a chance to see the matchup. Going to take the shake, the slide, and the lift. Yep, the classic, the exact same variation that we saw from K-Top earlier. Which is the classic that we see from Desarted all the time. But after playing Sub-Zero for so much of today, let's see how quickly he can jump back into Shang. I presume it's pretty quick because he's played the Shang for pretty much years, I want to say.
One of the premier Shang Tsung players in the world and has been for some time. Whee! There's that roar. roar, though, of the dash. And it creates another armor break, but again, spending it. Just happy to use the extra damage. I wonder if the air dash just does so much damage, he's just content taking it where he can and just getting the lead.
Maybe. I mean, look at all this damage. This is looking just as good as it was in the first game, really.
Ooh, Ermac, Forsaken you, just completely misses.
Yeah, that was a really high up jump kick. So, I mean, I guess I was going to say it was going to be kind of unsafe, but he does have the leap. If it was flawless block, though, that would have been an issue. There we go. There's the shake. Back in this corner. Back in this scary corner.
Goes for the less obvious grab direction. It wasn't escape failed, but I mean, the ideas are always there, right? The double jump. Oh, that down one. Cabal so quick. I wonder, Chef, are we going to reach a... I wonder, Chef. I wonder if I wonder if we're going to have a point eventually where we start to see those jump-ins get flawless blocked, just to try and shut down that air dash.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like a lot of other players at this point would definitely be doing that, but it doesn't seem like Desarted is super comfortable doing that, because he got into that with Sub-Zero too, and we're pretty far in. Uh-oh, in the corner. Just one more hit. Ooh, I love that little, like, float over him, but unfortunately for K-Top, he's going to put himself in the corner with that. So we're all tied up here. Again, one game apiece, one round apiece. We saw that pre-reset. And the one who won this won the next game straight. So we'll see the repeat of that. Oh, a little bit far on the lift, just barely.
That's rare footage of the dash getting punished on whiff. I guess just near the corner creates just enough time for the dash to whiff and get, well, immediately challenged, I guess. Raw jump in, matched. Hey!
Oh, he's getting so much mileage for that. Whoa, raw nomad dash. And that's a pretty rewarding thing in this matchup. Oh no, put himself in the corner again. I think he might be doing that a little bit too much. It's not as easy for him to escape like it is for Jackie. All right, gonna get the full combo into the restand. Now what's the mix? K-Top does have fatal blow. They're down two. Oh no.
That was just, my man was swinging for the fences.
I know, and didn't get punished for it either. Oh, there's the flawless block. Still just needs one more hit. Good patience, great patience, but you can only be patient for so long. Oh, he's being so patient. There's the grab.
He's got meter though. Loaded. Does he spend it? There's the up two. Delicious.
All right, so I guess there we go. There is a little bit of an answer there. I said earlier, I don't think he's comfortable with the flawless blocks, but he started to look comfortable there at the end. You know, he's taking a lot of time. He's just waiting for those leaps. Now, the question is, how are we going to see it baited? Obviously, it has to be an empty jump into something, but yeah, just not the level of adaptation that we've been at in this set. So now, again, Desarted up, but this time he's going to be up with Shang Tsung. So tough choice here for K-Top. Do you stick with the Cabal that's looking quite good, but fell short to the Shang Tsung just barely? Because you have to commit. You know, whoever you choose now, you are stuck with that for the rest of the tournament. So is it going to be the Cabal? Is it going to be back to the Jackie? I guess it's going to be Jackie, just going back to the classic.
It's a different matchup though now, isn't it? Because we're up against Shang Tsung. This is where things change significantly. Is it going to be enough? Are we going to see changes all the way up until the end? Or is this going to be Desarted's opportunity to kind of bring us full circle and have Shang Tsung as the final character to win the tournament? I know he'd be very happy to get a victory here, because I know him and K-Top already have great history in MK11. But now, one game is all it takes. Is Shang Tsung going to be the one that gets the job done here, Chef?
Fight.
It very well could be. I haven't seen him play this matchup in a long time because he keeps going back to the Sub-Zero, so we'll see how well it works. Wow, anti-airs with the slide technically. Oh, doesn't get the full punish for the dash punch. Could have been a lot more. Probably wasn't ready for it, kind of out of nowhere. And that's one of the big deals in this matchup, actually, is the dash punch. Being able to punish a lot of situations that the corpse drops set up. They're very minus, but usually you're just not fast enough to actually get to a punish. Jackie, of course, got the dash punch.
You got to be really careful doing dash punch against Shang Tsung, though, because his down 2 KB punishes dash punch. We've seen Desarted do that before. One of the rare occasions where it does actually happen. I guess it's just fast enough.
Yeah, and let's clarify here. KB punishes it on block, as opposed to just ducking it and KB punishing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, which is a very rare thing to do, but a pretty sick thing to do.
K-Top with no defensive bar cannot afford to get hit because it will be the round. Lots of patience for Desarted. Doesn't want to spend the meter. Saves it for a rainy day. A little bit of chip here and there. Might start to add up later.
Oh, yeah. Really patient. Look at all this patience from Desarted. Such a different style than we saw from him earlier. But he's finding his moments so well. Oh, just kidding. Speaking of finding moments, there we go. Showing no fear.
Eat this.
Ugh. Showing no fear in technically what could be the last game of the tournament for you to lose. That's quite a statement about how confident you are and how unfazable you are as a top player.
But again, looking for that flawless block, getting it, but just not getting the follow-up, and in fact, getting punished. I don't know if that was a button attempt that got stuffed or something, but there's going to be a big dash in, a big jump, and now, hang on a second, Desarted. This is the next level, though. You know, you're always looking for that jump 3. He starts jumping in with punch to jail. It's a huge element of his game plan. The jump kick is just ingrained into his meta. The tech is ungrabbable. Ungrabbable, Chef.
I don't understand it at all, but there we go. Match point now for Desarted. Spends that offensive bar, didn't quite need to, but it's probably not going to matter. And so just needs to win one more round to change the history from last month. And I think if he wins this, he's going to set up quite the rivalry, but still not over by a long shot. And this is a great way to start off Crushing Blow. Oh, read the breakaway, getting that extra bit of damage. What a read right there. And look at that. The health bar is just melting.
I mean, damage that we have, half of it's already gone. He's barely been hit. And here comes Ermac now. Right, there's another bar locked in too. So Desarted goes in for the mix-up. It's always going to get that. You've got to be mad to block that slide.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the reward's good, but the risk is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh, look, they're just poking back at each other. Oh, this is big. Oh, doesn't get all that much, actually. Doesn't even get that much off of Oki. Tries to bait like a wake-up fatal blow, maybe. But now it's just one more conversion. K-Top not a fatal blow. It's not going to matter. Of course, that Jackie ability to prevent you from really doing anything during her combos. And there goes the head, and we're going to a game 5. But will we see the return of the Sub-Zero? Or is we just going to see the commitment to the Shang Tsung? I think we're probably going to see the sub, right?
His mix worked wonders against Jackie before. And again, it comes down to winning that first match. You have that final counter pick, or at the very least, even if it's not considered a counter pick, the final change, the final advantage in a matchup for you. You know, whether you're more comfortable with this character or that character, probably going to go Sub-Zero because he knows that he can comfortably beat the Jackie with that character. And the Shang Tsung was used versus the Cabal. And here it is. We are finishing it all the way now. Game 5 post-reset. We get one of these a month now, so I think players making the most of it, absolutely, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, definitely. As far as time goes, making the most of it today. Getting the maximum number of matches in. We've had more Game 5s than I think non-Game 5s today. But again, this is big, you know. This could be a 2-month-in-a-row win for K-Top, or this could set up a really strong new rivalry between K-Top and Desarted going into the Open Series future and whatever other tournament's future. But it all is going to come down to this single game. The matchup they started with is going to be the matchup that they end it with, Jackie versus Sub-Zero. Let's see who comes out on top.
Well, a good opportunity now as Desarted gets that anti-air. Importantly, too, the meter being spent on the offense. Oh, speaking of which, good read. There's that leap out of nowhere.
Yeah, the risk of throwing out the kind kind of far-range ice ball in this matchup is terrible. And we can see exactly why right there. It's not a lot that you're going to catch Jackie out of, so that's a kind of low-risk, high-reward, or all the way around. Sorry, high-risk, low-reward. Oh, the down two. I think that might have been a mistake. That was really far away. And look at that, getting punished for it so heavily. But Fatal Blow available. One more conversion. Anything is probably kill with Fatal Blow. And that's why we're seeing all this patience from Disarded.
Always looking at the height. Now, if it's higher up. Oh! Again, can't confirm. Oh, so many hits, but they're just not hitting in a way that you can convert off. Oh my god, what is going on?
He empty jumped and then still got hit by the wake up Fatal Blow. I don't know what he tried to do. Maybe it was a grab. Maybe he just sat there and tried to flawless block or something, but that is gigantic. Fatal Blow is now gone though, going into this this next round, or potentially 2 rounds for Disarded. So that's a pretty big deal. K-Top did manage to hold it in his. Of course, if he'd spent his, he would have won, which would have been way more important. But this at least will get rid of some of that comeback potential. And wow, this round is looking like K-Top's running away with it. But again, all it takes is one hit for a turnaround like this.
Empty jump into more pressure though. It's all about what comes next as Sub-Zero. In this case, it's going to be a short hop. Throw counter again. K-Top's trying to press something. Instant wake up jump, just does not want to have to spend resources.
The grab. And this is tournament point for Disarded still. He just needs to find one more hit, but he's on the back foot right now on defense. It's grabbed again. He needs to make the perfect read right here. The down two! The down two! The perfect read did show up. That was exactly what he needed to do. Betting it all on the crushing blow, and that's how it's going to end. Not a repeat of last month. Going for the fatality to say, hey, I'm here. This Sub-Zero is a gigantic threat. It's not going to be free, not like it was last time. This time, the Sub-Zero is showing up. Disarded winning the first open series that he's won with that Sub-Zero. Looking super good.
That is the most ruthless down to crushing blow I've ever seen. That was just what's in the balance. He's just about to put himself on tournament point, and then out of nowhere, just we almost got to see it in slow motion, right? As it's coming up, and then it did just enough damage where there's no follow-up needed. Fantastic display there from Disarded, who will be the April champion. April?
May.
No.
May. April. I psyched you out earlier by making the April Part 2 joke. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Why did I say April? It's clearly May. Ugh.
I know, because it's the same tournament. It's the same tournament. So yeah, the April champion Part 2 for sure is definitely accurate. But yeah, the May champion. Time's moving a little bit too fast this year, but
it really is.
Yeah, it's happening. It's whatever life is. It is what it is now. But I'm glad that we get to see some good MK at least as the time moves on quickly. And you know, we don't get to see quite as many MK shows right now. So for the Open Series, I should say. So it's nice that we get a little bit of action at the end of each month. And this time we get to set up for the future. Like I said, I think this is now an amazing rivalry that we get to see between K-Top and Disarded. Now both taking a tournament in a very similar fashion, in a very similar bracket, 2 months in a row. And you know that both of them are now going to be going into like the lab and looking at how to deal with this matchup better than they already are, considering they both did play these matchups extremely well. But I'm sure there's a few more things they can figure out, knowing now that both of them are probably going to meet again in another grand finals, whether it be next month or even a tournament outside of the Open Series, or even just one of the matches in the Open Series qualifiers. So again, great stuff to Disarded. I would say now officially proving that the Sub-Zero is here to stay, and honestly maybe even scarier than his classic Shang Tsung.
I mean, we're starting to see the developments, really, aren't we? However, on that note, let's talk about what's up and coming and the stuff that you can look forward to and expect. And Mortal Kombat will continue, but it's not just Mortal Kombat covered in Open Series. As you can see, we have Black Ops Cold War, we have Soul Calibur 6. Their monthly finals can be found on the screen in front of you June 1st and June 2nd. And we do have MK11 always as well. So it's been a fantastic showing so far. If you want to get involved in all these tournaments, it's just compete.playstation.com. It's the one-stop shop for all things competitive PS4. It's a click away. On Twitch and YouTube, you should be able to just scroll down and click a link to the competition center. And that really is all there is to it. Now, if you enjoyed this show, stick around. In about an hour and 15 we'll be jumping into North America. The qualifier has already taken place. I think some players might be streaming their run. If not, we'll be jumping in with the top 8 anyway. North America happens in just over an hour. Same place. Stick around. We'll see you there. Grab some lunch, dinner, whatever it is, and we'll see you with North America. Take care.
PlayStation.
Jokes, no gimmicks, just combat.
PlayStation.